Chapter 452. What's going on? What's going on? Yuan Extreme Sword Talisman? What's that? Something seems to have happened? In the void, Primordial Chaos Holy Master, Tang Sun, Wen Hui, and the others trembled when they heard the roar from the flying device and heard the roar of the top figure from the heavenly vault. However, before Primordial Chaos Holy Master and the others could get close to the flying device, which was emitting a large amount of fiery light, started to operate again. Then, it whizzed toward the sea at an extremely fast speed, breaking the sound barrier in the blink of an eye and disappearing into the horizon. It was as fast as a level 8 or even a level 9 flying sword. Even Primordial Chaos Holy Master, an expert of the transcendent realm, could not catch up with it. Holy Master, what's going on? Wen Hui of the Green Lotus Sword sect asked anxiously. Primordial Chaos Holy Master looked in the direction where the flying device had disappeared with a grave expression, but he still said conservatively, from the way Great Elder Tsing Hui and Sir Broken Sword from the Heavenly Vault addressed each other, it's not hard to tell that he's the disciple of the supreme expert of the Heavenly Vault, esteemed Zhu Zhao. At this point, even though he was already mentally prepared, he still felt a little breathless. Zhu Zhao. That was an invincible giant of the divine realm. Moreover, he was one of the most powerful existences in the divine realm. It should be known that the cultivation of the saint realm was different from that of the saint realm. From time to time, the cultivators of the saint realm could still find ways to collect some cultivation resources by killing young divine beasts and adult divine beasts. However, in order to obtain cultivation resources of the saint realm, one either had to pin their hopes on the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, discover an ancient cave residence by chance, or travel to the outer sea, which was 50 to 60 million kilometers away from the Heaven Wasteland domain, to kill divine beasts and obtain cultivation resources from them. However, among the three methods, the lowest requirement to open the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion was that the Son of Chaos had to be at least level 30. Moreover, to open the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, one had to pay at least 100 Taoist rhymes or 1 Taoist rhyme per day. The excavation of the ancient cavern was completely dependent on one's luck and luck. As for going to the real outer sea to kill divine beasts and obtain cultivation resources from them, it was extremely dangerous even for the invincible powerhouses of the Saint Realm. Although it wasn't a 90% chance of survival, wouldn't the act of killing divine beasts bring about disastrous consequences? More often than not, only 1 or 2 people would make it back alive. The casualty rate was more than 60%. Because the divine realm was limited by the limits of resources, every single breakthrough was extremely difficult. Thus, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who possessed great battle prowess in the divine realm and could even be said to be in the top 10, naturally possessed unprecedented prestige. If such a big shot wanted to deal with Tsing Hui, he could kill him with a flip of his hand. There was no need for him to send a disciple, let alone a disciple of the almighty level. Let's wait for a while. Maybe something has happened. It won't be too late for us to think of a way after some time when there's no movement. Origin's Saint said. The others also nodded. In fact, they had no other way at all. However, Wen Hui seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, "Should we tell Deputy Sect Leader Nailin Fei about this?" Vice Sect Master Nailin Fei isn't just a relative of the Great Elder of Qingsu, she's also a member of Heaven's Dome. Even though she's only an outer member of Heaven's Dome, she can still come into contact with the upper echelons of Heaven's Dome thanks to the Purple Sky Reverend. If the Great Elder of Qingsu still hasn't returned after some time, why don't we send Vice Sect Master Nailin Fei to Heaven's Dome to ask what's going on? That's right. Nailin Fei is now in the wonderful mountain range. I'll go and inform Nailin Fei now. The Primordial Origin Saint and the others had no idea what was going on, so they could not act recklessly. Meanwhile, after Remnant Sword put on a show, he activated his flying device with Qingsu and flew off into the ocean extremely quickly. Very soon, they arrived at a place where people were rarely seen. At this moment, Tsing Hui's tendons and veins were all broken. The genuine vitality in his body was forced out by a vast force. As for his limbs, the nerves were cut off by the sword qi and he could not sense them. It could be said that he could not even commit suicide, let alone resist. This was the prelude to the interrogation. Tsing Hui had used a similar method to interrogate others about the chaos incantation back then. However, he did not expect that he would be interrogated the same way now. For a moment, he could not help but have a sad expression on his face. Don't worry. You have the recovery ability of level 10. Even if I cut off your tendons and nerves and left a sword chi in all your acupoints, you can slowly recover even if I cut you into 100 or 1,000 pieces. It's just a matter of how much energy it takes and how long it takes. Therefore, this kind of physical injury will not cause any harm to you. Remnant Sword said calmly as if it had nothing to do with him. Remnant Sword? You betrayed Tianqiong and joined Tiandao, didn't you? Tsing Hui fell into Remnant Sword's hands with a trace of defeat in his eyes. He stared at Remnant Sword as if he was still unwilling to accept this fact. Remnant Sword glanced at Tsing Hui and scanned the surroundings. After feeling that it was about time, he said slowly, "Yes or no, does it matter?" "Why?" Tsing Hui stared coldly at Remnant Sword. "Why did you do this?" Esteemed Zhu Zhao treated you as his successor, and he spared no effort in guiding you in your cultivation. But you actually betrayed Tianqiong and became a pawn of the heavenly Tao? You're right. Why? But Remnant Sword murmured and glanced at Tsing Hui with a trace of sadness in his eyes. Why? Because of fate. Fate? What fate? Now that things have come to this, you only have two choices left. The first is to sign an agreement with me and join Tiandao. When the Chaos War arrives, you will give Tianqiong a fatal blow. As for the second, I believe you don't want to know. Is this how you repay esteemed Zhu Zhao's kindness in teaching you? Remnant Sword glanced at Tsing Hui but did not discuss esteemed Zhu Zhao with him. Instead, he said slowly, "It's not bad for you to join Tiandao. Tiandao is one of the most powerful organizations in the Infinite Region. The only ones who can fight against it are the Divine Region and the Eternal Region. In terms of experts, resources, cultivation methods, and territories, Tiandao is at least 3 times more powerful than Tianqiong. Even though Tianqiong is expanding rapidly and there are several times more experts in the Gold Core realm than 3 years ago, it is still inferior to Tiandao. With your talent, if you can really join Tiandao, you may even be able to become a personal disciple of a Tao Master in the Divine Realm. At that time, not only will you succeed, but you will also be able to derive divine sense and become a powerful figure. A personal disciple of a Tao Master in the Divine Realm? Can a Tao Master be more powerful than esteemed Zhu Zhao? Do I need to betray Tianqiong for a Tao Master? Although Zhu Zhao the Exalted Being is powerful, there may be someone in the way of heaven who can defeat him. Moreover, apart from teachers, the most important thing for betraying Tianqiong is resources. You can't imagine the amount of resources needed to advance from the Golden Elixir realm to the Divinity realm. Even the young lords of the first-class sects have to spend hundreds or thousands of years running around in order to make their golden elixirs strong enough to bear fruit and derive divine powers. But once their golden elixirs are stimulated but they don't derive divine powers, not only will the hundreds or thousands of years of hard work be destroyed, but the heritage and accumulation of the entire sect for hundreds of years will be completely exhausted. If you can join the way of heaven, I can assure you that after the destruction of Tianqiong, you will be able to get rich resources to condense at least a superior-grade golden elixir. I believe Tianqiong can also give me what you Tiandao can give me. Remnant Sword shook his head and said, Tianqiong can't compare with Tiandao. Do you know why Tianqiong doesn't expand its influence over the years and doesn't try to recruit more geniuses? The main reason is that they have limited resources. The most powerful aspect of Tianqiong is Zhu Zhao and Tianqiong, not Chaos Divine Hall. What's more, you are not a disciple of Tsang Zhen, nor have you become Zhu Zhao's disciple. Moreover, because of the special relationship between Tsang Zhen and Zhu Zhao, even if they give you some basic care, you can never really become their disciple. If you are not their personal disciple, how many resources do you think you can get in the end? A young master of a first-rate sect, with the support of the entire sect, would have to spend hundreds or even thousands of years to accumulate enough resources to upgrade his gold core to the upper grade, or even the lower grade. If you don't have the full support of Tianqiong, How can you become an almighty? You and Yulan can become powerful figures in 300 years. Why can't I do it? You don't understand. Remnant Sword shook his head and said, I can become a powerful figure in such a short time because, in addition to the support of Zhu Zhao, I also have the secret support of Tiandao. It is because of Tiandao's help that I can use only 180 years to cultivate divine sense and become a powerful figure. As for Yulan, her success is not only because of her talent, but also because of her luck. She obtained an ancient cave mansion and obtained a huge amount of resources in that cave mansion. That was why she soared into the sky and stepped into the divine sense derivation realm. This kind of luck that can directly help people cultivate gold core is not something that ordinary people can encounter, so she is just a special case. Tiandao. Xing Hui stared at Remnant Sword and said coldly, Don't tell me you betrayed Tianqiong and joined Tiandao just to break through to the divine sense realm. Now, you are even helping Tiandao to destroy Tianqiong who gave birth to you and raised you? To deal with Zhu Zhao esteemed, who has high hopes for you and taught you to be a talent. Shut up. Hearing Xing Hui's repeated questions, Remnant Sword, who had been calm and indifferent, finally exploded and roared, What do you know? This is fate. My fate is like this. Fate, bullshit fate. It is nothing more than you looking for an excuse for your shameless actions. The Remnant Sword looked at Qing Su and said with a sliver of sorrow and heaviness, My father is the holy man of hatred. Chapter 453. Dao Master Li Hen. Xing Hui was shocked. Li Hen, one of the 8 Dao Masters of the Heavenly Dao. The most powerful beings in the Heavenly Dao were the 8 Dao Masters and the 36 Dao Masters. They were the core forces that the Heavenly Dao used to intimidate the heavens. The Dao Masters of the Heavenly Dao were, without exception, invincible giants in the divine realm. And to be able to become an invincible giant in the divine realm, none of them were of a low level of chaos. Even if his chaos level was low, as a giant standing at the top of the heavenly wasteland domain, he could rob, plunder Dao aura, and even disregard the rules to forcibly occupy other continents. As long as he did not go overboard, others would turn a blind eye to it. Therefore, more than 90% of the Divine Realm's supreme giants were sons of chaos at the 29th level. As for the remaining 10%, it did not mean that the Divine Realm's supreme giant's chaos level was below the 29th level, but above the 29th level. As for whether it was above the 30th level, this was often the top secret information of many chaos organizations and large sects, and no one knew. It was just like how no one in the Heavenly Dome domain really knew the specific chaos level of Master Zhu Zhao and Master Tianqiong. The data that was released had always been a smokescreen, and it was enough to look at. If one really took it seriously, they would definitely suffer a great loss when going against them. This is the reason why you betrayed the Heavenly Dome domain? Chou Xinghui, this is your name, right? I think what we should talk about now is your choice. I have a contract in my hand, a contract from the Chaos Temple. Sign this contract and you will be a member of the Heavenly Dao. Furthermore, given your talent and the fact that you can be ranked in the top echelon of chaos at the 29th level, you will definitely be heavily groomed by the Heavenly Dao. In the future, it will not be difficult for you to become a powerful figure. I will give you 10 breaths of time to consider. After 10 breaths of time, I will regard it as you giving up the power at your fingertips and choosing a path of self-destruction. At that time, I will no longer be merciful to you on the account that we both belong to the Heavenly Dome domain. Xing Hui's heart sank. The Chaos contract produced by the Chaos Treasure Pavilion? There was no need to guess that the requirements of such a contract would be extremely harsh. Moreover, the contracts produced by the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had the power to target the level of chaos. Once violated, it was possible that they would be stripped of their identity as the Son of Chaos. I don't have much time left, so I won't let you stall for time any longer. Otherwise, when you local cultivators notice the abnormality and contact esteemed Zhu Zhao, the situation will deteriorate rapidly. Therefore, I don't have so much time to waste on you. 10 breaths have passed, and it seems that you have chosen the latter. Then, let me see if your will can withstand my torture and maintain your current thoughts without wavering. Can Jian said with a gloomy expression. Although his tone was calm, his words were enough to make people shudder. Can Jian, it's not too late to turn back now. It's true that you're the son of the Li Hen holy man, but the place you live in is the heavens. Don't tell me you're really going to throw the heavens to the back of your mind for your so-called ambition? Xing Hui said in a low voice. At this point, his only hope was the backtracking spell. Before he started fighting with Xia Tian and the rest, he activated the backtracking spell to ensure that nothing went wrong. He did not want Xia Tian to have any treasures that could kill him in one strike. Now that his body was severely injured, he could not even sense the Chaos Divine Hall. He could not use the various active abilities provided by the Chaos Realm. It was only his intelligence, luck, recovery, and other passive abilities that were still active. It was a pity he did not increase his luck at all. This could be seen from the fact that he did not have any other miraculous encounters in so many years. It was a fool's dream to pin his hopes on luck. The only way was to endure it. Endure the torture of Can Jian. Endure until the backtracking spell took effect and he recovered to his peak state. Then, he raised his level of chaos and pointed out a rank 10 personal space before using the incarnation spell to escape from this place. Unfortunately, in this way, most of the Dao-carrying items obtained by the Void Separation Continent and the Creation Mystical Sect would be squandered. It requires me to divide my true qi into dozens and hundreds of portions. Each portion of true qi is as thin as a strand of hair. Then, it will seep into your body through your pores and meridians. It will constantly grind your cells and flesh bit by bit. At the same time, it will be like thin needles that will constantly pierce your bones, creating small holes in your bones. Thanks to your rank 10 recovery ability, during this process, I don't need to worry about whether I will accidentally torture you to death. I can attack as much as I want. Are you ready to try it now? Can Jian said indifferently. His words were filled with ruthlessness. He had vaguely heard of Bei Zhao's divine artifact before, but he didn't know what it was used for. He purposely mentioned it now because he was curious. You will pay for what you have done. Xing Hui said coldly. Can Jian shook his head. Perhaps I will be consigned to eternal damnation in the future. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it. Bear with it. This process will be very difficult. If you can't take it anymore, hand over what I want and I will give you a quick death and send you on your way. With that, strands of sword qi that were as thin as strands of hair rapidly permeated Qing Su's body. Immediately, Qing Su felt like there were several dozen or even over 100 needles piercing through every single cell in his body. Even with Qing Su's tough mind, he could not help but sweat profusely from the pain. Don't force yourself. Do your best. Although the entire process is very painful, if you can really endure this kind of torture and adapt to this kind of pain, then your mental strength will definitely become stronger. It won't be difficult for you to even advance by 2 or 3 levels. Perhaps, you can treat this as an opportunity. Can Jian's calm voice resounded in Xing Hui's ears. However, what he was doing was filled with coldness and cruelty. Xing Hui couldn't hold on for long. His forehead was already dripping with sweat. The intense pain constantly tortured his nerves, causing his already heavily injured nerves to almost break. Gradually, his consciousness started to hallucinate. You seem to have paid more attention to your mental strength. Looks like you pay a lot of attention to the tempering of your mind. You're actually able to endure the pain and cry out in pain at a time like this. Unfortunately, you're dreaming if you think you can resist my 6th revolution sword qi with this level of mental toughness. I've seen more than one person with a stronger mental toughness than you. Torturing them is just a matter of time. Right now, this is only the most basic physical torture. Very soon, I'll seep my sword qi into your bones, and then slowly sever your tendons and veins. After that, it'll seep into your brain and stimulate your brain, causing your brain to become sharper and suffer double or even triple the pain. As Remnant Sword spoke, he paused for a moment. What's even more lamentable is that your rank 10 recovery ability will be the last straw that crushes your will. I have to be careful when torturing ordinary people so that I won't accidentally torture them to death. That would be a huge loss. However, you don't have to worry about that at all. Tsing Hui clenched his teeth and visualized his primordial spirit into the nine-heaven squall. He used the memories and pain left on his primordial spirit to resist the pain of his physical body. Unfortunately, although Kanjian's torture methods weren't brilliant, he knew some basic knowledge like the back of his hand. The Sixth Revolution sword chi constantly flowed in his body and shook his consciousness from time to time. He couldn't even visualize the nine-heaven squall or use his powerful mental strength to shield the pain of his physical body. For a moment, Tsing Hui sank into an unprecedented pain. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the backtracking technique, he wouldn't have been able to endure this kind of pain. This torture lasted for more than 20 hours. More than 20 hours later, the sixth rotation sword chi from the remnant sword was withdrawn into his body. He looked at Qing Su with a hint of surprise. Shuqing Shu, I have to say that you've surprised me very much. Even though I'm no master of punishment, I believe that if we were in each other's shoes, I would probably have completely collapsed by now. I would agree to any request from others without any hesitation, just to die. Qing Su's face was sheet white, and he seemed to be dehydrated. Even his body was bent over. Intense pain assaulted his nerves, so he did not even have the strength to open his eyes. If it were not for the fact that he firmly believed in the existence of the technique of backtracking and used the thought that this was just a nightmare to forcefully hypnotize himself, he probably would have suffered a mental breakdown right now, just like Chan Jian had said. He would answer all questions. As expected, professional matters should be left to professionals. I've contacted an expert in the heavenly Dao who's good at extorting confessions. He's currently preparing and is about to send down his incarnation. Compared to him, my interrogation methods are just child's play. Do you still plan to continue? Kanjian looked at Tsing Hui and didn't care if Tsing Hui was still conscious. After waiting for a while and not getting an answer, Kanjian couldn't help but shake his head regretfully. It seems that I can't monopolize the supreme treasure on Beishao. Forget it, forget it. Maybe I'm not fated with that supreme treasure. I'll contact that Almighty and ask him to send down his incarnation. When he arrives, I believe that you'll make the right choice. Kanjian's voice echoed in Tsing Hui's ears like a dream. After more than 20 hours of torture, his consciousness couldn't be as clear as it was at the beginning. The only thing that kept him going was the backtracking technique. The backtracking technique that made him extremely sensitive to time. At this moment, with a non-existent ticking sound in his mind, this nightmarish torture finally ended. The backtracking began. Chapter 454. Backtracking Skill. The moment the backtracking skill took effect, Tsing Hui's body seemed to have been refreshed. Not only did all the restraints that Remnant Sword placed on him disappear, even the injuries on his body recovered instantly. This sudden change startled Broken Sword, who was contacting the Master of Torture in the Chaos Divine Palace, for a moment. In the moment he was slightly stunned, Qing Su sensed the Chaos Sacred Hall. 200 levels of Taoist presence in his personal space rapidly evaporated, and his chaos level shot up from the 41st level to the 43rd level. Without any hesitation, he immediately raised his personal space to the 10th level. This is backtracking skill? The backtracking skill that was derived from level 40 chaos? At this moment, Remnant Sword, who was slightly stunned, suddenly woke up. His expression changed drastically and he attacked with all his might without hesitation. The attack that contained a special power was about to severely injure Tsing Hui and shake his spirit to break the connection between him and the Chaos Temple. Before Remnant Sword's attack hit Tsing Hui's body suddenly exploded. More than half of his flesh was absorbed into his personal space and disappeared without a trace. Remnant Sword, you will pay for what you have done. In the void, Tsing Hui's voice that had yet to disappear faintly lingered. Rumble. Sword Chi rampaged. Tsing Hui's remaining blood mist was crushed into pieces by the tens of thousands of sword radiances that exploded from Remnant Sword's hand. Although that was the case, Remnant Sword's face did not show any joy. Instead, it was filled with gloominess and coldness. Personal space? At the last moment, he transferred his essence and blood into his personal space. He dared to use his personal space to store his essence and blood without worrying about losing his vitality. Level 10 Personal Space. Level 10 Personal Space, Level 10 Recovery Ability, Transformation Skill. Remnant Sword looked at Xing Hui, who had completely disappeared. Only a faint bloody aura was left. His eyes flashed with uncontrollable anger. Undying body. Undying body was one thing. The most terrifying thing was his chaos level. Level 40. Just now, Xing Hui's injuries had completely healed. Shockingly, that was the sign of backtrack, and backtrack was an invincible technique that only a rank 40 Son of Chaos could master. A rank 40 Son of Chaos. How did he do it? Broken Sword felt a chill in his heart. He thought that he had investigated Cho Xing Hui thoroughly, and he didn't dare to relax when dealing with him. However, he didn't expect that there would be such a big change in the end. Not only did Cho Xing Hui use his terrifying willpower to resist all of his torture methods, his true chaotic level was actually not only level 29 as stated in the information, but level 40. Level 40 was on the same level as the strongest in the Heavenly Tao. Although Xing Hui's chaotic level wasn't as terrifying as the 44th level of the strongest in the Heavenly Tao, if a rank 40 Son of Chaos burst out at a critical moment, who knew what kind of terrible consequences it would bring? A rank 40 Son of Chaos, even if it's passed down, has a total of 20 levels. If this chaos skill art is sold, it's enough to make any almighty go bankrupt. Not to mention a few dozen Taoist rhymes, even a few hundred Taoist rhymes would be bought. However, now isn't the time to be greedy for this chaos skill art. I have to return to the sky as soon as possible and deal with the problem with esteemed Zhu Zhao. Otherwise, once Cho Xing Hui reports me, my identity will be in danger of being exposed. While Remnant Sword's eyes were filled with greed for Xing Hui's rank 40 Son of Chaos skill art, he quickly regained his composure and stepped into the Chaos Temple without hesitation. Then he stepped into the Chaos Temple and into the sky. Cho Xing Hui's physical body was destroyed. Even if he had the recovery characteristic of level 10 and could be reborn from a drop of blood, it wasn't something that could be done overnight. He had to completely eliminate the consequences of this reckless action when Xing Hui's physical body was reconstructed and enter the Chaos Temple again. If everything went smoothly, he could even eliminate this huge threat in one go. Swoosh! His figure shuttled through. Remnant Sword quickly appeared in front of esteemed Zhu Zhao with a serious expression. At this moment, Master Zhu Zhao was flipping through the information of an almighty. This was an almighty who belonged to the Celestial Vault. He could be said to be very loyal. Although he did not belong to the 10 Great Cores, he had joined the Celestial Vault for a long time. Master Zhu Zhao, and the others were discussing whether to take him in. Seeing Remnant Sword's serious expression and appearing in his study without reporting anything, esteemed Zhu Zhao suddenly realized something. Didn't you go to the Eastern Wilderness to pick up Pak Hui? Something happened? Something happened. Remnant Sword nodded solemnly. Pak Hui, also known as Cho Xing Hui. If I'm not wrong, he should be a chess piece that the heavenly axiom placed in our sky. Therefore, I earnestly request Master to discuss with esteemed Zhu Zhao and let the sword wielders kill Cho Xing Hui completely. Otherwise, I'm afraid it'll be too late. Cho Xing Hui is a chess piece that the heavenly axiom placed in our sky? How is that possible? Tell me in detail. Esteemed Zhu Zhao's expression turned serious. Although he didn't believe that Xing Hui was related to the heavenly axiom, the news in front of him was brought by his most trusted disciple, so he had to treat it seriously. I used more than a year to go to the Eastern Wilderness. When I arrived, Xing Hui was fighting with someone, and that person was the young master of the UNG sect. UNG sect. Esteemed Zhu Zhao naturally had an impression of this sect. The entire UNG sect had 5 almighty-level existences, 4 supreme elders, and 1 sect master. Among them, the strongest was not the supreme elders, but the sect master. He had already taken the step beyond ordinary almighties and had become a peak existence like the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. He was second only to many top sects' suppression-level supreme giants. However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was, The UNG sect was deeply involved with the heavenly axiom. Although there was no clear evidence that the UNG sect had sided with the heavenly axiom, according to esteemed Master Firmament's investigation, this possibility was more than 80%. The young master of the UNG sect wasn't weak, and he brought a golden core cultivator with him. When I saw that junior brother Tsing Hui was in danger, I didn't hesitate to capture him alive. After all, as the young master of the UNG sect, he must know a lot of secrets about the sect. It would be too easy to just kill him, so it was better to interrogate him. Perhaps I could even get some information about the heavenly axiom from him. You did the right thing. What happened next? Junior brother Tsing Hui was heavily injured during the battle with the young master of the UNG sect. After I captured the young master of the UNG sect, I immediately began to treat junior brother Tsing Hui's injuries. Who would have thought that he would sneak attack me at a critical moment while I was treating junior brother Tsing Hui's injuries? Broken Sword said in a deep voice. There was a trace of disbelief and sorrow in his voice. He used nothing but the UNG sect's UNG Sword Talisman that the UNG sect's master personally created. UNG Sword Talisman. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao's heart sank. The UNG Sword Talisman is a talisman personally created by the UNG sect's master. Although the power sealed within isn't at the level of a divine ability, due to the special method used to create it, it's equivalent to a pseudo-divine ability or a lesser divine ability. Regular Golden Core cultivators wouldn't be able to escape death under the UNG Sword Talisman even if they could block it. Even divine ability experts would be killed if they couldn't react in time. Yes. Broken Sword said in a serious tone. Fortunately, the UNG sect's young master was right behind me. The UNG Sword Talisman was created by the UNG sect's master, and there's a bloodline connection between them. If the target was him, the power inside wouldn't have exploded immediately. With the help of the UNG sect's young master, I was able to react slightly and survive the UNG Sword Talisman's attack. That's a good plan. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao sighed. He believed most of Broken Sword's words. After all, this was a disciple that he had personally groomed. He knew Broken Sword very well. Compared to Tsing Hui, whom he had only known for a few years and was full of secrets, it was easier for him to believe Broken Sword. In the end, when Cho Tsing Hui realized that he couldn't kill me, he actually used the incarnation technique to escape. Based on the various miraculous things he displayed at that time, he took the path of an immortal body. His recovery and personal space both reached the 10th level. Therefore, even if I wanted to kill him, I couldn't. Immortal body? Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao nodded. Esteemed Zhu Zhao nodded and said, he is a son of chaos at the 29th level, so it's reasonable for him to have an immortal body. It's just that, it's a pity. If a son of chaos at the 29th level could join us, we would have a higher chance of winning the war against the Heavenly Way. I just didn't expect that he was a pawn arranged by the Heavenly Way to infiltrate us. Fortunately, you discovered it immediately. Otherwise, if he really joined the first echelon of our Heaven Dome and launched his attack at the moment of the war against the chaos, our Heaven Dome, which was already in a crisis, would have been on the verge of death. Broken Sword nodded with a serious expression. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao leaned back, closed his eyes, and waved his hand. You can leave now. I need some peace and quiet. Broken Sword understood that his master thought highly of Cho Tsing Hui. If it weren't for esteemed Song Zhen, he would have already accepted him as a disciple. What happened now was naturally a huge blow to him. It was reasonable for him to feel exhausted both mentally and physically. After estimating that the matter was almost settled, Broken Sword didn't want to stay any longer. He nodded. Master, don't be sad. It's not worth it for such a pawn that almost infiltrated our heavenly Tao. I understand. I'll leave now. Remnant Sword bowed respectfully and left. A pawn. After Broken Sword left for a while, esteemed Master Zhu Zhao opened his eyes again and sighed faintly. No wonder Tsing Hui's growth speed is inexplicably fast. Even with our help, his cultivation speed is too fast. However, I'm afraid that the one who suffered the most from this matter is not me, but Song Zhen. He has been betrayed by 2 disciples. Now that he finally has the heart to accept a new disciple, It's actually a pawn of the heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao. At the end of his words, even with esteemed Master Zhu Zhao's temperament, his eyes were overflowing with cold light and killing intent. Chapter 455. Broken Sword. In a small courtyard, Xing Hui, who was in the form of a blood mist, gradually condensed into a body. It took an entire day for his body to completely grow up. However, although his body had grown up, he still looked like he had lost a lot of yuan qi. Even with the recovery ability of the 10th level, it would probably take him several days to completely recover his yuan qi. Young master, you have already locked yourself in the house for an entire day. You must be hungry. I brought a lot of your favorite food. Come and try it with Xiaolu. At this time, a gentle voice came from outside. Xing Hui glanced outside and his gaze immediately fell on his other self. It was not appropriate to say that it was his other self. Although the consciousness of the body in front of him belonged to him, he had another identity. He was the younger brother of Su Xiao of Xin Hui Trading Company, Su Yuan. That's right. Back then, in order to avoid being killed by Broken Sword, Xing Hui directly chose to use the incarnation technique to bring his body to the Hidden Sword Continent. The reason why he chose the Hidden Sword Continent was partly because of the spiritual imprint, and partly because of the geographical location of the Hidden Sword Continent. At present, there were only 4 places that he could freely descend to. One was the Eastern Wilderness Continent, one was the Chongzhen Continent, one was the Kongli Continent, and one was the Hidden Sword Continent. Among these 4 places, there was a body container that he had specially prepared in the wondrous mountain range of the Eastern Wilderness Continent. He could descend there whenever he wanted. However, because he wanted to avoid being killed by Broken Sword, if Broken Sword wanted to cover up the news that he had betrayed Tianqiong and wanted to destroy everyone in the wondrous mountain range to completely conceal this news, then he, who had used the incarnation technique to resurrect in the wondrous mountain range, would definitely not be able to escape death. As for the Kongli continent, the special environment there would make it extremely difficult for him to come back if he really sent his body there. As for the Chongzhen continent, there was no point in going there. Only the Hidden Sword Continent. On one hand, it was closer to the Heaven Wasteland world. On the other hand, he could still follow his previous plan and see if he could try to complete Su Zhao's request, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. A day ago, after he used the incarnation technique to descend to the Hidden Sword Continent, a part of his consciousness directly entered Su Yuan's body, and then another part of his consciousness controlled the blood essence he kept in his personal space, and began to evolve and regenerate. Due to the good preservation of the vitality, the body had been completed in a day, but it would still take some time to completely recover the consumed vitality. Originally, I only planned to use this body to complete the mission of the Hidden Sword sect. Who would have thought that because of a coincidence, even the original body would be here? With the cooperation of the original body, some things will be much easier to deal with. Xing Hui did not pay attention to the call of the servant girl called Xiaolu outside the door. Instead, he pondered and planned his next move in the Hidden Sword Continent. Compared to the Eastern Wastelands, Fortune Mainland, Heavy Truth Mainland, and Void Separation Mainland, the Hidden Sword Mainland was undoubtedly much more dangerous. Among these mainlands, even the Fortune Mainland, which had the most experts, only had a few dozen false core realm cultivators. Compared to golden core realm cultivators, these false core realm cultivators lacked the ability to erupt their gold core realm. At best, their battle prowess was comparable to 2 never-ending realm experts. However, their immortal arts were strange. By relying on their immortal arts, they could barely contend with golden core realm experts after erupting their gold core realm power. As for the Hidden Sword Continent, the Hidden Sword sect was the most powerful sect in the world. They had several dozen golden core cultivators, close to 100, and a large number of unending spirit cultivators. Not to mention, there was also the venerable Hidden Sword who had derived the ability to suppress them. Even if he had broken through to the unending spirit realm or even the golden core realm, sweeping through the entire Hidden Sword Continent would still be wishful thinking, let alone Qing Su, who was only at the transformative realm. First, I'll use Su Yuan's identity to understand the Hidden Sword continent in detail, or rather, the identity of the Hidden Sword sect. As for my original body, I can use the identity of a powerful expert's disciple to enter the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce and act according to the circumstances. Xing Hui quickly came up with a plan. However, the incident with the broken sword had taught him a profound lesson. The weakening effect of the incarnation technique had not yet passed, so before the incarnation technique's cooldown was over, he still had to wait a few days. And once the incarnation technique's cooldown was over, even if he encountered other dangers, he could use the incarnation technique to directly go to any of the continents in the Chongzhen continent, Fortune continent, or Eastern Wastelands. Who would be able to do anything to him? The immortal body battle tactic had been completed. As long as he was careful and did not seek his own death, there were many aspects of his actions that he did not need to be as cautious as before. Young master? Young master, open the door. You haven't eaten for a day. If you don't open the door, I can only go and inform the young mistress. Xiao Lu's voice came from outside the door again. Put the things down. I don't have time now. Xing Hui pondered for a moment, then said to the outside. Young master? Don't you want to play with Xiao Lu? Let's go horseback riding, or Xiao Lu can bring you to fly a kite. Uncle Lu has made a few new kites. It's very fun. No. Su Yuan, who was controlled by Xing Hui, said without hesitation. Then he said in an impatient tone, Don't bother me. Hurry up and leave. Yes. Outside the door, the servant girl named Xiao Lu looked very wronged. Then, the sound of footsteps faded away. Xing Hui carefully sensed that although the girl had left the room, she did not go far. Instead, she was still staring at Xing Hui, or rather, the room where Su Yuan was in. Her face was filled with worry. Xing Hui ignored her. After he felt that he had more or less recovered, he directly immersed his consciousness into the primal chaos shrine. He had to report the matter of the broken sword to the venerable Zhu Zhao as soon as possible. Buzz. Buzz. Xing Hui's figure moved, and he appeared in the Sky Dome realm. After arriving in the Sky Dome realm, Xiao Chen was about to use his special ability to travel through space and head directly to the courtyard where the venerable Zhu Zhao was. However, he was shocked to discover that his ability to travel freely in the Sky Dome realm had been taken away. Xing Hui's expression changed slightly. He had a bad feeling. Xiao Chen did not care about anything else. He quickly flew up and headed to the palace where the venerable Zhongzhen was at. Soon, he arrived at the book creation hall. In the book creation hall, Yuling was talking to Zhongzhen Shangren with 4 people. 2 of the 4 people were members of Tianqiong, and the other 2 were obviously new masters that Tianqiong had recruited. It was not difficult to see that the cultivation of these 2 people was not bad from the light that burst out of their eyes from time to time. Venerable, I have an urgent matter to discuss with the venerable Zhu Zhao. Please bring me there. Ignoring the fact that the venerable Zhongzhen was busy, Xing Hui quickly went forward and asked in a low voice. Hey Pak Hui. After one day, the venerable Zhu Zhao had not told the venerable Zhongzhen about Xing Hui. When the venerable Zhongzhen saw Xing Hui, he was somewhat surprised. If you want to see the venerable Zhu Zhao, just go. Why do you need my referral? My authority has been taken away. Xing Hui said sullenly. When the venerable Zhongzhen heard this, his expression immediately turned serious. What's going on? What is that old fellow from the Sky Dome realm doing? I'll go and ask for you. After saying that, the venerable Zhongzhen said to Yuling, help them register. Yes, venerable. Although Yuling did not know what happened, she could see the grave expressions on the 2's faces. However, it was not appropriate for her to ask. If Venerable has something to do, please do it first. It is fine for us to wait here for a while. The 2 members of the Sky Dome realm who had brought their men to join the Sky Dome realm said hurriedly. The venerable Zhongzhen waved his hand and said, It doesn't matter whether I am here or not. Yuling is familiar with the detailed registration process. Moreover, the 2 of you have joined the Sky Dome realm for 200 or 300 years. I trust the people you recommend. The venerable Zhongzhen said this because he had investigated the 2 before. However, the 2 members of the Sky Dome realm were still somewhat touched by his words. Thank you for your trust, Venerable. The Venerable Zhongzhen responded. Then he used his authority to bring Tsing Hui and started to travel rapidly in the Sky Dome realm. Soon, they appeared outside the courtyard of the Venerable Zhu Zhao. The Venerable Zhongzhen is here too? After sensing outside the courtyard for a while, the Venerable Zhongzhen also sensed the aura of the Venerable Zhongzhen. His face immediately darkened. I want to ask what is going on with these two old fellows. Why did they take away Pak Hui's authority for no reason? As the Venerable Zhongzhen spoke, he had already brought Tsing Hui directly into the courtyard of the Venerable Zhu Zhao. Zhu Zhao, Venerable Zhongzhen, what is going on? I heard from Pak Hui that you took away his authority as a member of the Sky Dome realm. What did this little fellow do to make you so angry? As the Venerable Zhongzhen spoke, he brought Tsing Hui directly into the courtyard of the Venerable Zhu Zhao. The moment he stepped into the courtyard of the Venerable Zhu Zhao, the Venerable Zhu Zhao and the Venerable Zhongzhen looked at him at the same time. To be exact, they looked at Tsing Hui, who was behind the Venerable Zhu Zhao. The Venerable Zhu Zhao looked at Tsing Hui and frowned slightly. On the other hand, the Venerable Zhongzhen looked at the Venerable Zhu Zhao suspiciously. He had also heard from the Venerable Zhu Zhao that Tsing Hui was a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm. His purpose of entering the Sky Dome realm was to destroy the Sky Dome realm. Although the Venerable Zhongzhen did not suspect the Venerable Zhu Zhao, he did not have any concrete evidence. He could only temporarily take away Tsing Hui's authority as a member of the Sky Dome realm and even allowed him to be an official member. This was also the reason why Tsing Hui could freely enter the Sky Dome realm. Originally, the Venerable Zhongzhen had already gathered people and planned to personally go to the eastern wilderness to investigate the truth of the matter. However, before he could gather people, Tsing Hui had already come over. This made the Venerable Zhongzhen even more suspicious. He could not believe that Tsing Hui was a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm. About the authority, I believe that Pak Hui has more or less guessed it, right? The Venerable Zhu Zhao was not the one who answered the Venerable Zhongzhen's question, but the Venerable Zhongzhen. As he spoke, he looked at Tsing Hui and said, "Not long ago, the Venerable Zhongzhen reported a problem to the Venerable Zhu Zhao and me. He said that you were a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm and your purpose of approaching the Venerable Zhu Zhao was to enter the Sky Dome realm so that you could give us a fatal blow at the critical moment. Although I personally do not believe this statement, with the identity of the Venerable Zhongzhen, I really can't think of a reason for him to frame you like this. Pak Hui, how do you explain this question?" Chapter 456. As expected. Tsing Hui's heart sank when he heard what Master Tianqiong said. When he stepped into the sky territory and realized that his identity as a counselor had been stripped, he already had a guess. There was a high chance that Savage Sword had found Master Zhu Zhao first and made a false accusation against him. Now, this guess had been confirmed by Master Zhu Zhao. That White Ruins brat is a chess piece that the Heavenly Dao placed in our Sky Dome. How is this possible? Even if Heaven Dao wanted to find a suitable pawn, they wouldn't target Pak Hui, who is nearly 30 million kilometers away from Heaven Wasteland World, right? What is Savage Sword doing? Why did this kind of thing come out of nowhere? Where is he? Ask him to come over immediately and ask him face to face. Before Qing Su could reply, the Venerable Master Zhongzhen was the first to shout. His voice contained a sliver of suppressed fury. I've already informed Savage Sword. He'll be here soon. Master Zhu Zhao said with a worried look on his face. According to Tsing Hui's behavior, one of them must be lying. It could even be said that one of them was a pawn of Heaven Dao. If this pawn was Tsing Hui, it would cause a great blow to Master Zhongzhen, but this blow was mainly concentrated on the spiritual level. Tsing Hui had only been in Heaven Wasteland for a short time and had not come into contact with anything core, so he could not cause any substantial damage to Heaven Wasteland. The only loss was the level 12 light-condensing sword that Master Zhu Zhao had given him. However, this was not a big deal. A level 12 magic weapon was extremely precious to ordinary powerful figures, but it was nothing to an invincible giant in the divine realm like him. However, if Heaven Dao's pawn was not Tsing Hui but Savage Sword, Master Zhu Zhao's heart sank at the thought of this. I hope things won't come to that in the end. Master Zhu Zhao thought to himself. Savage Sword was a disciple that he had brought from the outside world. He had raised Savage Sword since he was young. He treated Savage Sword and Yulan as his own children. If Savage Sword was really a pawn of Heaven Dao, Master Zhu Zhao quickly shook his head. Before the final outcome of the matter was reached, he should not be distracted and let his imagination run wild. Tell me, Bai Su, what's going on? Why did Remnant Sword claim that you colluded with the Primary Extreme Sect and tried to kill him with the Primary Extreme Sword Talisman? The Firmament Master maintained a neutral stance and asked Xing Hui in a deep voice. He also felt that the fact that Xing Hui was a chess piece of the Heavenly Axiom was somewhat inconceivable. Even if the Heavenly Axiom really wanted to choose a chess piece, it did not have to go to the Eastern Wilderness, especially, and this chess piece was a 29th level Son of Chaos. Since when had the Heavenly Dao been so generous to raise a cultivator who hadn't even reached the Saint Realm to the 29th chaotic level? However, if there was nothing wrong with Xing Hui, then there must be something wrong with the broken sword that had said those words. If the broken sword was a pawn of the Heavenly Dao, now, he could only hope that this was a misunderstanding between Xing Hui and Broken Sword. I used the Primary Extreme Sword Talisman to ambush him? Was that what Remnant Sword used? How could he come up with such a reason? Before Remnant Sword arrived, I was in a life-and-death battle with the Primary Extreme Sect's young sect master. The entire battle was witnessed by the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Jin Wu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect in the Eastern Wilderness. I fought against a Golden Core cultivator, several True Essence cultivators, and transcendent cultivators with the power of the transcendent state. The battle was a close shave. How could Remnant Sword claim that I colluded with such an enemy? Was his goal to put on an act and harm him? Xing Hui said coldly. Then why did he say that? It's very simple. The pawn of the Heavenly Dao is not me, but Remnant Sword. When he saw me, he took advantage of his identity and strength to capture me alive. He thought I was going to die, so he didn't hide anything in front of me. He told me his background and purpose clearly. He wanted to get me to join the Way of Heaven to deal with Tianqiong, but I refused, so he tortured me in every possible way. Unfortunately, he didn't investigate and I took the opportunity to escape. He had no choice but to take advantage of your trust in him to sow discord in front of you and distort the truth. He wanted to frame me as a pawn of the Way of Heaven. The best way was to persuade you and ask the Tianqiong swordsman to kill me. In this way, no one would know his true identity. Remnant Sword is a pawn of the Heavenly Dao. Esteemed Zhu Zhao shook his head and said, I can't think of a reason why Remnant Sword would betray the Heavenly Dao. For power? For benefits? He's a powerful figure and can go anywhere in the world. There's no need for him to do such a thing. Reason? Very simple, because he's the son of the Lihen Holy Man, the Lihen Holy Man. Esteemed Zhu Zhao, Firmament Master, and Zhangzhen Master were stunned. Remnant Sword is the son of the Lihen Holy Man? Xing Hui nodded seriously. Yes, he said it himself. It must be true. Esteemed Zhu Zhao, Zhangzhen Master, and Firmament Master looked at each other and were speechless. If Remnant Sword was really the son of the Lihen Holy Man, then there was evidence that he betrayed the Heavenly Dao. However, what evidence do you have? Esteemed Zhu Zhao asked in a low voice. Although he still looked calm, Song Zhen and Song Qiong could feel that his tone was not as calm and steady as before. Xing Hui was silent for a moment and finally shook his head. Remnant Sword thought that I would definitely die. I have no evidence for what I said. Esteemed Zhu Zhao did not know if he should be relieved or worried. Let's wait for Remnant Sword to come and let Xing Hui confront him. Firmament Master pondered for a moment and said seriously. Esteemed Zhu Zhao and Zhangzhen Master nodded. This was not a small matter. If something went wrong, the Heavenly Dao would not only lose a powerful figure, but also esteemed Zhu Zhao, who was equivalent to the stabilizing force of the Heavenly Dao, would also be seriously affected. The consequences were simply unimaginable. No matter how carefully they handled it, it would not be too much, Master. Soon, A figure appeared outside esteemed Zhu Zhao's courtyard. It was Remnant Sword who came after hearing the news. After bowing to the Reverend Zhu Zhao, Remnant Sword's gaze immediately landed on Qing Su. His eyes narrowed slightly, but in the next second he yelled harshly, "Shuo Qingshu, you traitor! Master didn't ask the sword-bearers to hunt you down and kill you for the sake of your past. How dare you set foot in Heaven's Vault territory?" "All right, Remnant Sword, stop acting. You can fool people for a while, but can you fool people for a lifetime?" Xing Hui said coldly. "Fool? What are you talking about?" Broken Sword immediately turned to Zhen Zhao esteemed, Firmament esteemed, and Zhangzhen esteemed, and said, "Everyone, this man in front of you is probably a pawn that the Way of Heaven put into our firmament domain. He wants to give us a fatal blow when the chaos war between the Way of Heaven and the Way of Heaven breaks out. All of his words are nonsense. His purpose is to gain the trust of all of you esteemed, so that our firmament domain will be doomed forever." Firmament Master glanced at esteemed Zhu Zhao and Zhangzhen Master. One of them was biased toward Remnant Sword, while the other was biased toward Xing Hui. However, he could not explain it in front of Remnant Sword and esteemed Zhu Zhao, so he had to preside over the interrogation himself. He said in a deep voice, "Remnant Sword, you said that Xing Hui is a pawn of the Heavenly Tao and colluded with the young master of the UNG sect to kill you with the UNG sword talisman. Xing Hui also called you a pawn of the Heavenly Tao and said that you captured him while he was fighting with the people of the UNG sect in an attempt to make him betray the Heavenly Tao and join the Heavenly Tao. Then, you would give us a fatal blow at the critical moment. He refused, so you tortured him. Is this true? Since Firmament Master is asking about this, you must be suspicious. However, if we want to know the truth, I'm afraid we have to do it in the UNG sect." Remnant Sword did not shout out loud immediately. Instead, he began to defend himself. "What we're talking about involves the UNG sect. If we can make a trip to the UNG sect, we'll definitely be able to find something. Since Cho Xing Hui colluded with the UNG sect, it's impossible that he didn't leave any clues behind. The UNG sect is a subordinate organization of the Way of the Heavens. As the son of the Lihen Holy Man, you only need to inform the Lihen Holy Man about what happened here. The Lihen Holy Man will naturally arrange everything in the UNG sect. Even if there are no clues, you will eventually find decisive evidence." Xing Hui snorted coldly. "What, are you feeling guilty?" Remnant Sword stared at Xing Hui with indifference. Qing Su ignored the sword fragment. Instead, he turned towards the Sky Dome Master. "You should understand that I have no reason to harm the Sky Dome Master at all. Even if the heavens really want to choose a chess piece, there's no reason for it to choose an ordinary person from the eastern wastelands almost 3,000 kilometers away. Moreover, I joined the Sky Dome Master and got to know the Venerable Master Tsang Zhen and the Venerable Master Zhu Zhao completely through coincidence. As the two of you who were involved in this, you should understand this very well. No matter what the heavens do, they can't possibly affect the Venerable Master Tsang Zhen and the Venerable Master Zhu Zhao, right? Choosing the Eastern Barren Territory may be a strategy. After all, the Heavenly Tao should be able to find out that a disciple of the Purple Sky Priest is in the Eastern Barren Territory. With this disciple around, you will naturally be able to enter the Firmament Master. It's because of this that they chose you, who is related to the disciple of the Purple Sky Priest. As for getting to know Master Tsang Zhen and Master Zhu Zhao after entering the Firmament Master? I personally think that getting to know Master Tsang Zhen is an exception. You are aiming for my master, Master Zhu Zhao. This is the best evidence from your cultivation method, bloodline, and the route of your bloodline. As long as you maintain the cultivation path of the Torch Dragon bloodline and show enough talent, you will be noticed by my master one day. The Heavenly Tao may be able to make reasonable arrangements for this." With that, Cruel Sword clasped his hands at Venerable Master Zhenjiao, Venerable Master Sky, and so on. "There's one more thing that's most important. Do you not suspect the abnormal rate at which Qing Su grows? If he doesn't have the support of a big force behind him, how can he cultivate to this level in less than 10 years? Even if my master and Master Tsangzhen want to support him, his growth speed is too fast, especially his chaotic level. I remember that when Firmament Master saw him before, his chaotic level was high, but it didn't reach level 29. But now, when our Firmament Master is facing the Son of Chaos from the Heavenly Tao, his chaotic level rose to level 29 in one go, and then he joined the first echelon in the Battle of Chaos. This is too much of a coincidence. Remnant's sword bowed deeply and retreated to the side, no longer speaking. Chapter 457. Zhuang Zhao Exalted Master, Songjin Exalted Master, and Songjin Exalted Master looked at each other and fell into deep thought. The rate at which Qing Su's cultivation grew was truly unbelievable. And the change in his chaos level, although Tsing Hui said that he obtained the Taoist rhyme reserve from the battle at the Moon Star Palace, this news had not been completely verified. On the contrary, he might have the support of the heavenly axiom, which was more believable. In fact, it's easy to determine who is the heavenly axiom's pawn. At this moment, Tsing Hui suddenly spoke. "Oh!" Songjin Exalted Master's eyes lit up. "What do you have in mind?" "The two of us can attack and kill the two key figures in the heavenly axiom." As Tsing Hui spoke, his gaze turned to Zhuang Zhao Exalted Master and said with a faint smile, "I remember that the Li Hen Holy Man has a disciple called the Tai Huan Spiritual Master. He is very talented and has entered the cultivation world for less than 400 years. If Zhuang Zhao Exalted Master is willing to attack and kill the Tai Huan Spiritual Master, he can prove that he is not the heavenly axiom's pawn. Similarly, I remember that the Black Heaven Holy Man has a daughter who is also a disciple of the Crimson Fire Holy Man and is called Fairy Fian. She has entered the cultivation world for less than 100 years but has already cultivated the immortal golden core. Due to her strong foundation in the immortality level, she has cultivated the divine-grade battle body and divine-grade vital essence. She is very talented and the Crimson Fire Holy Man has high hopes for her. How about this? The Tai Huan Spiritual Master is a powerful figure in the heavenly axiom. As a member of the heavenly axiom, if I have the chance to kill him, I will not hesitate. However, how can I be sure that this is not your scheme? Your true goal is to use Taoist Master Tai Huan as bait to lure me over so that you can kill me and solve this problem once and for all. At the same time, you'll let this chess piece of the heavenly Tao use its remaining power to drag my broken sword down and perish together with you? As Remnant Sword spoke, he sneered, "Don't say that our swordsman still has your spiritual imprint. A transcendent realm cultivator from the heavenly Tao for a transcendent realm cultivator from the heavenly Tao. No matter how you look at it, it's an extremely good deal." What? Are you scared? Are you looking for excuses for yourself? Do you think I'll be fooled by this kind of lowly provocation? I'm not making excuses for myself. I just don't want to give you another chance to step into your trap. After Remnant Sword finished speaking, he cupped his hands at Master Zhu Zhao and said, "Master, please understand." Master Zhu Zhao pondered for a moment and nodded. This method is indeed very easy to step into the enemy's trap. Although it's very easy to step into the enemy's trap, it's still the easiest way to prove your innocence. Before Master Zhu Zhao could finish speaking, Master Firmament suddenly added, "However, this target was set by Tsing Hui. To be safe, I'll choose the target for both of you to kill. Moreover, I won't tell each other about the opponent you need to kill. This way, the possibility of being ambushed will be greatly reduced." Firmament? The Reverend Jin Zhao glanced at the Firmament Master in surprise, while the Firmament Master gave the Reverend Jin Zhao a reassuring look. Qing Su is only a transformative realm cultivator right now. It will indeed be rather difficult for him to kill opponents that are too powerful for him. However, since he has set his sights on one of the 10 great prodigies of the heavenly Tao, Fairy Fian, it's enough to prove that he has some confidence in defeating one of the 10 great prodigies of the heavenly Tao. Master Heaven's voice had already become so low that only Qing Su could hear him clearly when he reached there. Your target is the youngest disciple of the Li Hen Holy Man, Gong Hua. He's not one of the 10 great prodigies, but he's a genius who's only second to the 10 great prodigies. If you can kill him, it'll be enough to prove your loyalty to us, and we'll reward you handsomely as well. Tsing Hui nodded. He planned to go back and find out more about Gong Hua. Master Firmament's gaze then turned to Remnant Sword. Remnant Sword, you're a powerful figure. Killing an ordinary Aurus Core cultivator isn't difficult for you. Therefore, I'll still set your target as a powerful figure. How about you choose Immortal Wade as your opponent? Immortal Wade has always been stationed outside, so it's the easiest to kill him. If you can find 1 or 2 Transcendent Realm friends, you might be able to seize the opportunity when he's outside and kill him in one blow. Don't worry, Master Firmament. As long as there's a chance, I'll find a way to kill him. Remnant Sword said in a low voice. Master Firmament smiled and nodded. Then let's do that. As for the time, let's set it at 5 years, as Tsinghui said. Although the Heavenly Tao has been eyeing us covetously, we've been cooperating with the other primal chaos organizations during this period of time, which has somewhat intimidated the Heavenly Tao. In addition, the Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal Realm's interests have yet to be determined. I reckon there won't be an all-out conflict with us for the next 5 years. However, 5 years is probably the limit. Therefore, if the two of you are truly loyal to us, then do your best to kill the opponents I've set for you to prove your innocence. Tsinghui nodded. Remnant Sword glanced at Master Zhenjiao. Seeing that Master Zhenjiao didn't say anything, he was somewhat dissatisfied with this result. However, in front of Master Firmament, the highest leader of Master Firmament, he couldn't say anything. He could only agree. We'll follow Master's arrangement. All right, all of you are dismissed. Go and make your preparations. After some time, I will collect the information of your opponents and hand it over to you. As for your authority, I will adjust it back, but there will be some restrictions in some key areas. You must understand this. I understand. Tsinghui nodded. Seeing that Tsinghui agreed so enthusiastically, Remnant Sword naturally didn't dare to disobey. He just nodded. Then, the two of them left the courtyard. I know what you want to ask. With a wave of his hand, the space where the Reverend Candlelight resided was quickly sealed up. No one could enter or leave so easily anymore. Actually, we still can't determine who the true chess piece of the Heavenly Ways is even now. The only thing we can prove is that it has to be either Qing Su or Cruel Sword, and if anything happens to either of them, it'll be a great loss to our Heaven's Way. Instead of that, why don't we shift the loss to the Heavenly Ways and recover our capital first? Is it really feasible to use this method? If it's really feasible, at least we won't lose too much. Even if it's not feasible, we'll definitely be able to find out who is the real chess piece. Aren't you afraid that the people of the Heavenly Tao will cooperate with us to put on a show? Put on a show? Master Firmament smiled. Even if he really wants to cooperate with us to put on a show, he'll have to pay the price of an almighty or a genius disciple. Maybe the Heavenly Axiom will really do that. Don't forget, if the Heavenly Axiom really goes to war with us, even if our chaos level is taken away, the Heavenly Axiom will have to pay a price of more than 1 or 2 Almighty's lives. Then we'll have to rely on ourselves. Master Firmament smiled. 5 years. I've given them 5 years, or rather, they've given us 5 years. This period of time is very confusing. The Heavenly Tao can use this period of time to confuse us and make us think that they won't attack us in 5 years. We can also use this period of time to confuse the Heavenly Tao and make it think that we won't act rashly in these 5 years. But in fact, if you really believe in the number of 5 years, you're gravely mistaken. These 5 years will be a critical year, or even a decisive year. Master Zhu Zhao and Master Cangzhen were able to cultivate to the Divine Realm and the peak of the Saint Realm, so they reacted very quickly and immediately understood what Master Firmament meant. Immediately, the two of them nodded solemnly at the same time. As for Tsinghui and Remnant Sword, speaking of this, Master Firmament paused slightly. We already know that there must be something wrong with one of them, and there's at least 1 or 2 years left. If we still can't figure out who the real Heavenly Tao's pawn is in this period of time, then it's natural for us to be destroyed by the Heavenly Tao in the end. We can't blame anyone. Master Zhu Zhao and Master Cangzhen looked at each other and nodded at the same time. A while later, the Venerable Master Cangzhen said, I'll go investigate Qing Su. Even though there aren't any great powerhouses among my disciples, I've still accumulated quite a lot of power over the years. I still have the ability to investigate a single person. I'll be in charge of Remnant Sword. Exalted Master Zhu Zhao said concisely. Well, but you have to be very careful. Maybe the whole thing is a big smoke screen set by the Heavenly Tao, especially you, Zhu Zhao. You have to be especially careful of the Heavenly Tao's trap. Speaking of this, Master Firmament paused slightly and suddenly said, how about using the reserve Taoist rhymes of our firmament to raise your chaotic level to level 40? If you reach level 40, your life-saving ability will be greatly enhanced. In addition, during the period of raising your chaotic level 40, focus on improving your deduction art. With the deduction art in hand, the probability of others scheming against you will be greatly reduced. Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. No, I'm on the main combat path. Deduction art is an auxiliary ability. It's of no help in a life-and-death battle. It's too wasteful to use the precious chaotic level on deduction art. Hearing this, Master Firmament could not help but feel a little regretful. I'll look for the Pavilion Master of the Divine Secret Pavilion and see if I can buy the information from him. Although the Pavilion Master's deduction art is limited by the chaotic level and is only at level 2, I hope he can use the mystery of the deduction art to help us figure out who the real Heavenly Tao's pawn is and beat them at their own game. It's too expensive to ask the Pavilion Master of the Divine Secret Pavilion to do it personally. Master Tsongjun frowned and said, It's fine. Right now, the Celestial Way, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternals want to clear the area. Once these 3 organizations of chaos begin to clear the area for the war before taking over the Chaos Divine Hall, the Pavilion of Divination will be affected as well. As a result, even if they've always stayed out of this matter, they can't just stand by and watch. I believe that the Pavilion Master of the Pavilion of Divination will make the choice that suits the interests of the Pavilion of Divination. Master Tsongjun nodded after hearing this. The Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal Chaos organizations were discussing the matter of working together to clear out the Chaos Temple. The Sword Intent, Celestial Vault, and the Temple of All Saints were not idle either. They were thinking of ways to contact the second-tier Chaos organizations in an attempt to form an alliance to resist the 3 Chaos organizations' attempt to clear out the Chaos Temple. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Indeed, they could no longer view the unspoken rules of the Chaos Temple as they had in the past. Then that's all for now. We'll investigate on our own. Sigh, I didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. I hope it's all a misunderstanding. I hope so, Master Firmament said. The 3 of them felt a little heavy. Chapter 458. Savage Sword's status in the Heavenly Dome realm is deeply rooted, especially with the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master's support. Even if the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master are willing to believe me, as long as the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master's confidence in him, no one can shake his position in the Heavenly Dome realm. Xing Hui, who had returned to his own personal space, was not in a good mood either. When he told the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master, the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master that the Savage Sword was a pawn of the Heavenly Way, he did not expect to be able to nail him down in one go. Compared to the Savage Sword who had been in the Heavenly Dome realm for more than 300 years, Xing Hui, who had only been in the Heavenly Dome realm for less than 10 years, did not have much weight in his words. This was also because he was highly regarded by the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master. Otherwise, when the Savage Sword reported this to the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master, the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master would have already gathered the Firmament Exalted Master and the others to report this news to the swordsman. Then, the swordsman would kill him in one fell swoop, and there would be no chance for him to prove his innocence. The Heavenly Dome realm. Xing Hui's mind was filled with complicated thoughts. After a long while, he let out a long sigh. According to his previous style of doing things, since the Heavenly Dome realm was not willing to trust him, he could have just left. The world was so big, where could he not go? However, in the past few years in the Heavenly Dome realm, whether it was the Zhongjin Exalted Master, the Zhu Zhao Exalted Master, or even the Firmament Exalted Master, they had all helped him a lot. If not for their guidance and support, he would definitely not be able to cultivate to such a level in less than 10 years. Now that the Heavenly Dome realm was facing a great enemy, and there was also a hidden threat within, if he just turned around and left without saying anything, he would feel uneasy. A debt of gratitude is the most difficult to repay. Xing Hui sighed and collected his thoughts. Although Gong Hua was not one of the 10 heavenly legends of the Heavenly Way, he was a genius that was second only to the heavenly legends. Whether it was Fairy Fian who he had brought up, or Gong Hua, the Lihen holy man, they were not people that he could easily deal with now. If he wanted to deal with them, he still had to raise his cultivation to the never-ending stage, or even the Aurus core stage. Especially the Golden Core realm. The amount of precious resources required could be said to be massive. Before he could prove his innocence, he would not be able to obtain support from the Vault of Heaven. Only God knew how long he would need to accumulate resources to be able to cultivate the high-grade, peerless grade, and even the legendary Supreme Golden Core that could nurture supreme magical powers. Never-ending realm. My transformative realm has yet to reach perfection. Even though I already have the complete concept of the never-ending realm and can rely on the backtrack art to ensure my safety, I am still unable to break through to the never-ending realm. I have to reach perfection in the transformative realm first. In order to reach perfection in the transformative realm, there are 3 ways I can work on it. First, I have to raise the level of my mental energy. Once my mental energy level rises, my control over my true energy will increase and it will be easier for me to reach perfection in the never-ending realm. Second, I have to turn my mental energy into void. If I can reach perfection in the void, my control over my true energy will reach an unprecedented level. Not to mention perfection in the transformative realm, it will be greatly beneficial for me to reach the never-ending realm. The third way is similar to the second way. Comprehension. I have to work on it. If my comprehension is high, I will be able to refine my true energy much more efficiently. After pondering for a while, Xing Hui finally gave up on the third way. After his chaotic level increased, he could either raise the divine art to the 5th level and cause a mutation in the divine art, or raise the backtrack art to the 2nd level and shorten the cooldown time. This would increase the success rate of forming a nuclear fusion reactor in his body when he tried to break through to the never-ending realm. He could not afford to waste any more points on comprehension. Then, he could only work on both the first and the second way. Broken Sword was right about one thing. He had withstood the torture of the 6th Revolution Sword Chi, and his mental energy had indeed become stronger and more resilient. At this moment, his mental energy level had already reached the 92nd level, which was enough to be on par with any never-ending realm expert. The 92nd level of mental energy. Xing Hui flipped his hands and 2 divine weapons appeared in his hands. One was the divine sword of the Green Lotus Sword sect, and the other was the mysterious broken sword from the ancestral ground of the Myriad Swords Mountain. The sealed True Yuan around the mysterious broken sword had not been completely removed by Xing Hui. The reason was that Xing Hui was worried that the sword contained within was too strong and would harm his divine soul. But now, after the cooldown time for the backtrack art was over, he could give it a try. Xing Hui pondered and his gaze fell on his many Dao-carrying items again. After he returned from the Lycan continent, the number of Dao-carrying items on him had already exceeded 200. Later on, he sold the Lycan stone to the Sky Dome realm and obtained another 100 Dao runes. In addition to what he had obtained from the Creation Mysterious Sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, and the Qinkuan Sacred Ground, the number of Dao-carrying items on him had reached 400. However, not long ago, he had raised his chaotic level to the 41st level and used up some Dao-carrying items. In order to save his life from Broken Sword, he had raised his chaotic level to the 43rd level. His Dao-carrying items had decreased from 400 to a mere 161. Fortunately, this number was only temporary. The Wuji Sword sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, and the Qinkuan Sacred Ground all had Dao-carrying items with 100 Dao runes. In total, he had a total of 300 Dao runes. As for the Shenshao Sword sect, they probably did not have much to gain and could barely be counted as Dao-carrying items with 50 Dao runes. Other than that, There was also the Dharma sect and the giant Dragon Mountain range. In total, the total number of Tao runes he could obtain would not be less than 550. Especially the chaos spiritual arts that some of them had, they could also be sold for a good price. The amount of Tao runes he could obtain would definitely exceed the 800 mark. At this thought, Xing Hui's gaze fell on his chaotic level. Buzz buzz. As the Tao-carrying items with 98 Tao runes were absorbed at the same time, his 43rd chaotic level shot up to the 44th level. After reaching the 44th level, Xing Hui directly raised the backtrack art to the 2nd level. Still not enough. Xing Hui looked at the remaining 61 Tao-carrying items with him and closed his eyes. He wanted to raise the backtrack art to the 5th level. By then, the cooldown of this divine art would be reduced to 22 hours, less than 2 days. At that time, he would truly have an immortal body. As long as he was not killed twice within 22 hours, no one in the world would be able to kill him. Now that I have arrived at the Hidden Sword continent, I wonder if Savage Sword has returned. I have to ask Nayland Fei about this. With that, Xing Hui appeared in the Chaos Temple again and found Nayland Fei. As it had only been 2 days since the incident, Nayland Fei and the rest only knew that Xing Hui and Savage Sword had left together. However, they did not know what happened after the two of them left. Therefore, they knew nothing about Xing Hui's near-death experience. Even when they saw Xing Hui again, their expressions did not change. Pak Hui. Nayland Fei greeted her. After a while, she seemed to have thought of something and asked, "You and Sir Savage Sword went to the Infinite Region together?" Savage Sword has returned to the Infinite Region? Xing Hui did not reply. Instead, he asked another question. Yes, Sir Savage Sword has left the Eastern Wilderness. Xing Hui nodded. Anyway, he had already raised the backtrack art to the 2nd level. As long as he returned to the Eastern Wilderness within the time limit of the backtrack art, he would not have to worry about his safety. Savage Sword probably knew this too, so he did not stay in the Eastern Wilderness for long. The backtrack art, with the help of the immortal body, it was almost equivalent to an undefeatable art. At the very least, unless he set down a foolproof trap, even with Cruel Sword's abilities, he probably would not be able to nullify the combination of Qing ruins. Pak Hui, if you return to the Eastern Wilderness now, the Wuji Sword sect, the 6 paths of God and demons, and the Qingkuan sacred land will be tempted. By then, it doesn't matter. Qing Su replied, I'll return to the Eastern Wastelands after the half a month's time that I set with them. I'll destroy the Divine Shao Sword sect in one fell swoop so that I can intimidate them. Half a month later? Doesn't that mean there are only 10 days left? Let's set the time for half a month from now, which happens to be 4 or 5 days later. In these 4 or 5 days, let's take a good look at who is still restless and restless. If we can take advantage of this opportunity to completely wipe out the resistance in the Eastern Wilderness and establish the Hunyuan Heaven sect's unshakable supreme position, that would be the best. A cold glint flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. The Hunyuan Heaven sect is currently the strongest sect in the Eastern Wilderness. Ancestor Stone Sword and the Lifeless Swordmaster, who were originally stronger than him, have been stripped of their chaotic stage and lost the Saint Arts enhancement. They are no longer a match for the Hunyuan Heaven sect. As for Taoist Tian Ding and the reclusive Taoist Beidou, they were both killed by Yu, Xing Hui. In a one-on-one fight, there is no one who can compete with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. You have already opened up such a good situation for the Hunyuan Heaven sect. If the Hunyuan Heaven sect still can't seize the opportunity to develop into the strongest sect in the Eastern Wilderness, it will only prove that the Hunyuan Heaven sect is not destined to be the strongest sect in the Eastern Wilderness. Nayland Fei said with a smile. Xing Hui also nodded. The Hunyuan Heaven sect's advantage over the other sects was indeed quite obvious. However, if they really fought, the Hunyuan Heaven sect was still weaker than the Wuji Sword sect. Therefore, whether the Hunyuan Heaven sect could develop into the strongest sect in the Eastern Wilderness depended on the methods of the sect's higher-ups. Let's leave it at that for the time being, Xing Hui said as he left the Chaos Divine Hall. He had already felt the voice of the servant girl, Xiao Lu, outside the door again. Xing Hui's consciousness returned to his body. He glanced at Su Yuan, who had his eyes closed and was using his consciousness to control him. He pondered for a moment, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. Perhaps I can obtain a handsome reward from the Divine Grace Trading Company in advance and raise the chaotic stage to the 45th stage. Let's see what new characteristics will be derived from the 45th stage. Originally, Su Yuan's consciousness was only equivalent to that of a child of a few years old. However, if Tsing Hui used his mutated incarnation technique and primordial spirit qi to treat him, Su Yuan could completely recover his consciousness. He believed that Miss Su of the Divine Grace Trading Company would not be stingy with the treatment fee. Chapter 459. Maid Xiaolu was standing outside Su Yuan's courtyard with a worried look on her face. Unlike the last time, there was another woman who looked to be in her 30s with a cultivation base of the transformative realm. The woman looked at Su Yuan's courtyard with a grave expression. Soon the door opened. However, the first person to enter the room was not the young master of the Divine Grace Trading Company, Su Yuan, but Tsing Hui. Seeing Tsing Hui, the middle-aged woman with a cultivation base of the transformative realm immediately became alert and shouted sternly, "Who are you? Why are you in young Master Su Yuan's room?" As she spoke, she secretly waved her hand and several True Energy Realm and prominent Divine Realm guards quickly rushed over from all directions and quickly surrounded the entire courtyard. The leader of the guards had a cultivation base of the transformative realm like the middle-aged woman. "Don't be impatient." Tsing Hui looked calmly at the middle-aged woman who had such a huge reaction. The Divine Grace Trading Company did not have any decent experts and the most powerful elders were only at the never-ending realm. This kind of cultivation base could be considered a threat to Tsing Hui, but it would definitely not be able to cause any fatal damage to him. Even the Golden Core Realm expert from the UNG sect in the Heaven Wasteland world, Partridge, had been killed by him with the power of the transformative realm. This time, I'm here to make a deal with Miss Su Xiao. I'm afraid you can't make the decision on this deal, so please invite Miss Su Xiao over. Please state your identity and purpose, otherwise don't blame us for being merciless. The middle-aged woman's expression was stern and the dozen or so True Energy Realm and prominent Divine Realm experts who surrounded the courtyard with her activated their powerful auras, faintly exerting pressure on Tsing Hui. If I want to harm you, given the current situation of the Divine Grace Trading Company, you won't be able to stop me. If you don't believe me, you can try. Tsing Hui could feel the pressure from the auras of the Vision Divine Stage and True Element Stage experts and his tone gradually became colder. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman considered young Master Sun who was behind Tsing Hui and pondered for a moment before waving her hand. Instantly, the Vision Saint Stage and True Energy Stage elite guards in the surroundings withdrew their auras. I can temporarily trust you. However, our young miss is busy every day. If you are unable to state your purpose for coming here, I'm afraid I'm unable to make the decision. Also, I hope that you haven't harmed young Master Suyuan. Otherwise, no matter what your identity is, you will face the endless pursuit of our Divine Grace Trading Company. Even if we have to take out an item with over 100 Dao auras as a reward, we won't hesitate. My purpose for coming is very simple. I am here to treat the young master of Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce, Su Yuan. Treat young Master Su Yuan? The middle-aged woman was slightly taken aback. That's right. I have a method that can restore young Master Su Yuan's consciousness and allow him to return to being an ordinary person. If you are willing, I can even guide him and allow his cultivation to break through step by step and step into the Vision Saint stage or even the True Element stage. When the middle-aged woman heard this, she couldn't help but step forward and speak with excitement. Is what you said true? Can you really cure our little young master? Our young master has invited many famous experts to treat him. Among them, there was no lack of almighties who personally sent their clones down, but they were all powerless. If you can really restore our young master's consciousness, the entire Divine Grace Trading Company will be extremely grateful. There's no need to say words of gratitude. An item with 50 Dao auras. Why don't you inform the manager of the Divine Grace Trading Company, Su Xiao, and see if she agrees? If she agrees, I will make a move immediately. If she doesn't, then don't blame me for not doing anything. Tsing Hui spoke indifferently. 50 Dao auras. This price made the middle-aged woman's heart sink. In the Eastern Wilderness, the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect, the Jin Wu religion, the Wuji Sword Sect, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Qinkuan Holy Land, and the Hunyuan Heaven Sect all had over 100 Dao auras and thought that it was easy to obtain Dao auras. However, the Eastern Wilderness was one of the continents that was rich in Dao auras. Otherwise, it wouldn't have attracted the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect, the Sword Shadow Sect, and a series of second-tier chaos organizations to interfere in the Eastern Wilderness, causing almost 10 organizations in the Eastern Wilderness to be divided and go against each other. In addition, many sea beasts continued to fight in the outer sea of the Eastern Wilderness, causing the sea route to be cut off. For more than 100 years, there had been no trading companies or foreign cultivators entering the Eastern Wilderness to trade for items. Under such a special environment, many sects only had over 100 Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras. In fact, the total amount of items that carried Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras added up by all the sects in the outer sea of the Eastern Wilderness only had over 300 to 400 Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras. If one wanted to have more than 1,000 Dao auras, they would have to be on a large continent. Although the Hidden Sword continent was one of the top medium-sized continents, and the Divine Grace Trading Company was one of the 3 oldest trading companies in the Hidden Sword continent and had an extremely strong foundation, an item that carried Dao auras worth 50 Dao auras was still considered a loss to them. An item that carried Dao auras worth 50 Dao auras was enough to make up a quarter of the Divine Grace Trading Company's total Dao auras. I need to discuss this matter with the First Mississippi. Of course, I'm willing to wait. This is also the reason why I asked you to invite Su Xiao over. All right. As the middle-aged woman spoke, she glanced at the courtyard behind Tsing Hui. For safety reasons, we need to take young Master Su Yuan away. All right. Tsing Hui nodded. Before he stepped out of Su Yuan's courtyard, he had already used a strand of qi of the primordial spirit to slightly heal Su Yuan's consciousness. At the same time, he had fused a part of his consciousness into Su Yuan's consciousness, just like he had done to Su Fei in the Kongli continent. After some treatment, Su Yuan's consciousness had recovered quite a bit. Although he had not fully recovered, he had reached the level of a 10-year-old boy. As a part of Tsing Hui's consciousness had fused into Su Yuan's consciousness, Su Yuan could be said to be extremely close to him. He was not at all worried that Su Yuan would not be able to become a useful bargaining chip in his hands after being taken away by the middle-aged woman and the others. Young master, are you all right? Seeing Su Yuan come out, the middle-aged woman hurriedly went up to him. I'm Su Tong, your Aunt Tong. If there's anything you need, tell me. I'm fine. Su Yuan's consciousness had recovered quite a bit compared to before, but he was still somewhat timid in front of the middle-aged woman. I want to stay with Master. Su Tong glanced at Tsing Hui and saw that Su Yuan was only hiding by Tsing Hui's side, as if he had not been wronged or threatened in any way. She immediately heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, she felt that Su Yuan's words had become much clearer, and her face was filled with joy. Young master, you've remembered? Aunt Tong, I feel that my mind is much clearer than before. It's all thanks to Master's help that I've recovered. Su Yuan's consciousness had been heavily influenced by Tsing Hui, so naturally, everything he did was on Tsing Hui's side. Even so, Su Tong could not help but reveal a look of joy on her face. She hurriedly thanked Tsing Hui. Sir, thank you for your help to the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. I thank you on behalf of my mistress and everyone in the Su family. There's no need for that. I see that Su Yuan is rather faded. If not for the fact that I needed to use 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit and some precious spiritual items, I would not have asked for 50 items of Dao from the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit? Su Tong was slightly taken aback. As one of the higher-ups of the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce, she naturally understood the preciousness of qi of the primordial spirit. 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit could be sold for 40 Dao runes in the infinite wasteland world. If supplemented with some other precious spiritual items, 50 Dao runes from Tsing Hui was not considered expensive. Instantly, Su Tong hurriedly said, "Sir, please rest assured that the Chamber of Commerce will not let you suffer a loss. Go and invite Su Xiao over." "Yes, sir, please follow me to the living room first. I will immediately inform the mistress to come over." After Su Tong finished speaking, she bowed respectfully. Then she led Su Yuan, Xiaolu, and the rest to the living room. Soon, they arrived at the living room. They did not have to wait too long in the living room. Soon, they saw a woman who looked to be around 25 or 26 years old but was filled with exhaustion. The moment she stepped into the living room, she looked at Su Yuan. "Little Yuan, you've really recovered?" "Sister." Su Yuan called out softly. Good, little Yuan." Hearing Su Yuan's clear voice, Su Zhao's face could not help but be filled with uncontrollable surprise. A trace of mist appeared in her eyes. If it were not for Tsing Hui, who was an outsider, she would have cried tears of joy. After a while, Su Zhao calmed down and turned her gaze back to Tsing Hui. Then, without hesitation, she waved her hand. Immediately, 6 servants presented a dozen items of different sizes. Before the items arrived, the prompt from the chaos interface had already indicated the identity of these items. Su Xiao bowed respectfully to Tsing Hui. "Sir, please help me completely cure my brother's illness. The 50 Taoist rhyme items are here. Please accept them." "Okay." Seeing that Su Xiao did not hesitate to offer 50 Taoist rhyme items, Tsing Hui could not help but be a little surprised. He thought that Su Xiao, as a businesswoman, would bargain with him. He did not expect her to agree so quickly. It could be seen that in her heart, no amount of Taoist rhyme could compare to her brother's health. She was a woman who valued friendship very much. "I have already completed the first round of treatment. The next round of treatment will take a month. After that round of treatment, your brother will be completely healed." "He will be completely healed in a month." Hearing this, Su Xiao breathed a long sigh of relief. Then, she bowed deeply to Tsing Hui again. "Thank you for your kindness, sir." After that, she seemed to have thought of something. "How should I address you, sir?" "You can call me Yu Qing," Tsing Hui said calmly. It was not appropriate to use Dong Yang's identity in such a small situation. Tsing Hui's and Pak Hui's identities were the same. Therefore, he directly used one of the 3 incarnations of the One Qi into 3 pure ones, the Yu Qing incarnation. "Sir Yu Qing." Su Xiao bowed respectfully again. "I heard that Sir Yu Qing intends to take my brother Su Yuan as your disciple? If Su Yuan is so lucky, Su Xiao would be more than happy to accept him." "Indeed, I have such thoughts." Tsing Hui nodded slightly. "Not only that, I have also heard that the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce is facing a difficult problem. If it is within my power, I am willing to help the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce to get through this crisis." Su Xiao heard that, but there was no joy on her face. Clearly, she was still doubtful about whether Qing ruins could help the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. However, she was still extremely courteous. "If Mr. Yu Qing is willing to help, then that would be great. I thank Mr. Yu Qing first." Chapter 460. After receiving 50 Taoist rhymes from Su Xiao, Tsing Hui once again returned to the courtyard that Su Xiao had arranged for him. The Hidden Sword mainland was different from the Eastern Wilderness. Compared to the Eastern Wilderness, the Hidden Sword mainland was far too dangerous. Not to mention the Hidden Sword Venerable, who was above everyone else in the Hidden Sword mainland. Even the hundreds of Golden Core Realm cultivators in the Hidden Sword sect were enough to make Tsing Hui worried. The Hidden Sword sect had a total of 36 peaks. Although not every peak had a Golden Elixir Stage expert overseeing it, more than 80% of the peaks had a Golden Elixir Stage expert. Among them, the particularly powerful peaks such as the North Moon Peak, Aurora Peak, Dragonhead Peak, Blue Cloud Peak, Famed Sword Peak, and other peaks had more than 3 Golden Elixir Stage experts. Just the Hidden Sword sect alone was estimated to have more than 80 Golden Elixir Stage experts. In addition to the few Golden Elixir Stage experts wandering outside and the Golden Elixir Stage experts hiding in the dark, the entire Hidden Sword continent definitely had more than 100 golden elixir stage experts. And with Tsing Hui's ability, it might not be a problem for him to deal with those cultivators who had just stepped into the golden elixir realm. However, once he faced those veteran golden elixir realm cultivators, or even those who had condensed a high-grade golden elixir, it would be difficult for him to escape the fate of defeat. If he was surrounded by several golden elixir realm cultivators, he might even die. Under such circumstances, he did not have the ability to openly interfere with the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. Even if he wanted to interfere with the conflict between the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce and the North Moon Peak, he had to start with Su Yuan. There are two ways to solve the problem of the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. The first way is for the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce to create a big enough commotion and attract the Hidden Sword Venerable to appear personally. Then, they would use the Taoist rhymes that the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce had accumulated over the years to offer to the Hidden Sword Venerable to seek protection. However, the Hidden Sword Venerable might have thought of using 200 Taoist rhymes as a reward to ask for help from the Chaos Temple. However, the Hidden Sword Venerable did not do anything. Either the Hidden Sword Venerable is at a critical moment in his cultivation and has no time to be distracted, or the Hidden Sword Venerable has really decided to give up on the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. Tsing Hui thought to himself, the first guess is still acceptable. If this method doesn't work, I can still choose to break into the Myriad Swords Peak and cause the 10,000 swords to howl. But if it's the second guess, no. 200 Taoist rhymes is not a small number. Even if the Hidden Sword Honorable is an almighty, he can't just ignore the fact that he's getting tens of Taoist rhymes every year. It seems like the Hidden Sword Honorable is probably in seclusion. Unless something earth-shattering happens, the Hidden Sword Honorable won't interfere with the Hidden Sword Sect's affairs. As for earth-shattering events, he could only choose to challenge the Myriad Swords Peak. Wanjian Peak needs to suppress its cultivation to the Awakening Realm, preferably the Blood-Changing Realm. Using only sword techniques and sword intent to fight against the sword spirit of Wanjian Peak this way, I won't need to spend too much effort to cultivate Su Yuan. With a true Qi realm or spirit refining realm cultivation, I should be able to control his body and go to Wanjian Peak. As for why he didn't choose to go with his real body, naturally, it was because he was being cautious. The Hidden Sword Continent was still a little too dangerous for him. Although there were not a lot of people who could pose a fatal threat to him, Qing Su was unwilling to add to his troubles. Great Perfection Realm. Tsing Hui sighed and shifted his gaze to the Chaos Realm. Transformative Realm and Never-Ending Realm didn't require much resources. He didn't plan to keep the newly obtained Taoist items to buy anything. Instead, he was determined to raise his backtrack technique to the 5th level as soon as possible. Hence, he didn't hesitate to absorb the Taoist items and push his Chaos Realm from the 44th level to the 45th level. Buzz buzz. The moment his Chaos Realm reached the 45th level, Tsing Hui felt a roar coming from his personal space. He was so shocked that he didn't even bother to check on the new technique that was derived from the 45th level. His gaze went straight to the Chaos Realm at the edge of his personal space. That's Chaos Treasure Pavilion? With a trace of astonishment, Tsing Hui's figure flashed and appeared directly in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. As soon as he stepped into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Tsing Hui realized that the entire Chaos Treasure Pavilion had increased by 3 times compared to before. The many items sealed in the walls had increased from the previous 10 items to 30 items. However, before he could feel happy about the expansion of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, his face darkened when he noticed the amount of Taoist rhymes flowing from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. 2 Taoist rhymes. The speed of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's Taoist rhymes flowing had increased from 1 to 2. In other words, as long as he maintained the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's open state, he would need to consume 730 Taoist rhymes every year. This number, Tsing Hui calculated carefully and was shocked. Who in the world could withstand the consumption of more than 700 Taoist rhymes in a year? Even the leaders of the Sky Dome sect, Master Sky Dome and Master Zhu Zhao, only obtained a little more than 100 Taoist rhymes every year. The reason they were able to maintain the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's consumption was mainly because they borrowed the power of the Sky Dome sect. It was precisely because of the additional income given by the Sky Dome sect that they were able to raise their Chaos level to above the 30th level. But now, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had actually leveled up at the 45th level? Even though the number of treasures produced had increased from 10 to 30, the reduction of 2 Taoist rhymes every day, perhaps the entire heavenly Tao would not be able to support such a consumption. Xing Hui rubbed between his eyebrows. I know that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's level will definitely increase. After all, the items sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion are mainly in the Divine Realm. There's an even more mysterious and mighty realm above the Divine Realm. If the Chaos Treasure Pavilion wants to keep up with the times, the items sold in there will definitely increase. However, I'm guessing that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion will only level up at the 60th level and not at the 45th level. If I knew that there would be such a change at the 45th level, I wouldn't have continued to level up. After a while, he shook his head again. In order to ensure victory in the War of Chaos, he had set his own Chaos level goal to be above the 55th level. Therefore, even though he knew that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's consumption of Taoist rhymes would increase from 1 to 2 after the 45th level, he could only grit his teeth and continue to level up. Considering that he only had a dozen or so Taoist rhymes, Xing Hui was not in the mood to look at what exactly the 30 items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion were. If he wanted to look, he would have to wait until he had collected all the Taoist treasures from the various sects in the Eastern Wilderness. He would only look at them after he had collected enough Taoist rhymes. Otherwise, he would only be able to stare at the treasures but not be able to afford any of them. 45th level. Xing Hui's gaze swept across the various characteristics in his column. His gaze immediately landed on the new characteristic at the 45th level. Divine Sensing Technique? What ability is this? Xing Hui focused on the new special ability at the 45th level. Very quickly, he had a better understanding of the Divine Sensing Technique. The ability to communicate with special life forms in other dimensions. Can I sense and communicate with those special life forms? It doesn't seem to be of any use. After a quick glance, Xing Hui quickly retracted his gaze from the Divine Sensing Technique. The increase in Chaos level did not mean that every characteristic would be useful. Even if some characteristics were useful, they would not be of much use if their level could not be increased. Just like the teleportation technique, advancement technique, resurrection technique, deduction technique, and other skills, the divine sensing technique only allowed him to sense and communicate with special life forms in other dimensions. It was probably a useless ability like the resurrection technique, advancement technique, and deduction technique. In that case, since the divine sensing technique could not produce any immediate effects on his strength, Xing Hui did not hesitate to focus on the backtrack technique. As the backtrack technique's characteristics blurred, its level instantly increased from the 2nd level to the 3rd level. Its cooldown was also reduced from 180 hours to 90 hours. 90 hours. That was more than 7 days. Very good. Xing Hui had a faint smile on his face. There were only 7 days left on the cooldown of the backtrack technique. In that case, he could do whatever he wanted. For example, building a nuclear fusion reactor in his body to break through to the endless realm. Or, for example, completely breaking the seal on the broken sword and drawing out the true sword intent contained in the broken sword to break through to the next level. As long as he could ensure that he did not die, this kind of enhancement was almost comparable to the refining God Pavilion in the sky. Backtrack technique, there are still 5 days left on the cooldown. Xing Hui thought to himself. He did not cultivate it immediately. Instead, his gaze fell on the supreme immortal technique he had obtained from the Fortune mainland, the reversal of yin and yang. The reversal of yin and yang was a supreme immortal technique that had the effect of disrupting one's aura. It was said that when cultivated to the pinnacle, not only could it disrupt one's aura, it could also confuse space, interfere with the laws of nature, and deceive the heavens. Although I have no ill intentions towards Tianqiong, and I know in my heart that the real chess piece is the broken sword and not me, I have been in Tianqiong for less than 10 years. My origin is a mystery, and the secret of my rapid cultivation is also unknown. especially my chaotic level, it is even more unexplainable. Back then, many top overlords of the divine wilderness mainland fought over an item that contained thousands of Tao auras, causing the divine wilderness to shatter. As for the fortune divine jade, compared to that divine item, it is not inferior in any way. If the secret of the fortune divine jade is revealed to others, I'm afraid that even esteemed Zhu Zhao and esteemed Tianqiong would not be able to resist the temptation. If I can't explain my chaotic level, the suspicions about me will not be completely cleared. In that case, the spiritual imprint left on Tianqiong's hand will always be like a sharp sword hanging over my head. Thinking of this, Xing Hui came to a decision. He would cultivate the reversal of yin and yang to the large success stage. With the help of the reversal of yin and yang, he would be able to conceal his aura and fluctuations. At that time, even if esteemed Zhu Zhao and esteemed Tianqiong did not trust him and wanted to ask Tianqiong's sword wielder for help, he would be able to escape with his life. Chapter 461. 10 days passed quickly. During these 10 days, Xing Hui kept Su Yuan by his side as he waited for news from the eastern wilderness. He claimed that he would guide Su Yuan's cultivation. Su Xiao considered the fact that he still needed the power of green ruins to completely heal Su Yuan, so she did not stop him. She only did her best and served him well, waiting for him to completely heal Su Yuan in 20 days. While he was guiding Su Yuan's cultivation, he was also trying to use the Tao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade to cultivate the supreme celestial art, the reversal of yin and yang. However, the reversal of yin and yang was a celestial art that was easy to learn but difficult to master. It was not that difficult to cultivate it to the mastery stage where one could deceive the heavenly secrets. As for the mastery stage where one could interfere with time and space, it would be impossible to reach the mastery stage without accumulating hundreds or thousands of Tao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade. Xing Hui estimated that he would have to wait until he had accumulated 50 to 60 Tao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade before he had any hope of cultivating it to the mastery stage. To be sure, it would be best to wait until the Tao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade had accumulated for 2 to 3 months. It's time to settle the matter in the eastern wilderness once and for all. Xing Hui ended his cultivation and stood up. After using the incarnation art to sense the containers that he had purposely left in the Wonder Mountain range, Xing Hui's spiritual consciousness directly traveled through the void, ignoring the barriers of space and distance, and appeared on a child in the Wonder Mountain range. Immediately, a gleam of light flashed through the rather stunned child's eyes. Under the rather strange gazes of the people in charge of their daily necessities, he quickly ran off to his room. Before long, with Qing Su's entry and exit, his original body had already arrived in the courtyard of the Profundity Mountains. This is amazing! The 10th stage personal space can contain living things. I can put my physical body into the personal space and use the incarnation art's characteristics to appear anywhere the incarnation art can reach. This ability is not inferior to the transportation art at all. In fact, it's more useful than the transportation art in many cases. A hint of surprise flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. The combination of the rank 10 personal space and other characteristics was more effective than he had imagined. For example, the combination of doppelganger and tier 10 personal space was no less effective than teleportation. Moreover, its cooldown was much shorter than teleportation. The only drawback was, due to the influence of the incarnation technique, the teleportation range was limited. Tens of millions of kilometers was probably the limit. Moreover, it required suitable coordinates and the weakening effect that would last for several days. As for the teleportation technique, its teleportation range was 1 world. Not to mention tens of millions of kilometers, it was not difficult to teleport hundreds of millions of kilometers in one go. Xing Hui wasn't in a hurry after his main body appeared in the wondrous mountain range. Although his incarnation art had reached the 5th stage, it didn't have the mutation that would reduce the weakening effect like ordinary people. Every time he used doppelganger, he would be weakened for 3 days. To fully recover to his peak state, he would need close to 10 days. Although the 10th stage recovery characteristic could reduce the weakening effect by almost half, it would still take 5 to 6 days. This was also why he had come to the Eastern Wilderness 5 days in advance. Tsing Hui had arrived in the Eastern Wilderness early to pass the weakening period. However, the half-month deadline he had ordered the Wuji Sword Sect, 6 Paths of God and Demons, Qiankuan Sacred Land, Dharma Sect, and Giant Dragon Mountain Range to hand over their Taoist rhymes had arrived early. Then, perhaps because they saw that the Shunshao Sword Sect had joined forces with the Yuanji Sect to kill Tsing Hui, they thought that Tsing Hui had left the Eastern Wilderness with the broken sword. Many experts from the 5 great sects chose to forget about handing over their Taoist rhymes at the same time. As a result, when the day finally arrived, the wondrous mountain range was still deserted. Not a single sect sent an envoy to deliver their Taoist rhymes. If there was a change, the only change was that the number of spies the 6 great sects had sent to the wondrous mountain range had increased by several times. They were clearly paying attention to the wondrous mountain range, or rather, Tsing Hui's movements. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The wondrous mountain range was peaceful, and the Hunyuan Heaven sect was also at peace. This result made the 6 great sects, who had been feeling uneasy for several days, heave a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. After overcoming the current crisis, the most important thing was naturally to divide the Create Evolve Mysterious Sects territory. Previously, with Tsing Hui in charge, no one dared to say anything about the Qinglan Peak, a Genesis Heavenly Sovereign, occupying the Create Evolve Mysterious Sects territory. However, all signs indicated that Tsing Hui had already left the Eastern Wilderness. Even if the small Qinglan Peak was backed by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, what right did it have to occupy the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect's vast territory? It should be known that the Create Evolve Mysterious sect had occupied almost half of the Eastern Wilderness at its peak. Such a vast territory naturally attracted the envy of the 6 great sections. 3 days later, the Wuji Sword Sect sent out an invitation to the experts of the Shunshao Sword Sect, Qiankuan Sacred Land, 6 Paths of God and Demon, Pharaoh Sect, and Giant Dragon Mountain Range. These sects had already sent representatives to the Wuji Sword Sect to discuss the plan to divide the Qinglan Peak. Grand Elder Tsing Hui hasn't returned yet? In the palace on the wondrous mountain range, the Genesis Heavenly Sovereign, Ancestor Qi Wu, and Ancestor Nanshan, the 3 great true energy boundary experts, hurried over. Their eyes were filled with worry as they looked at Nailin Fei. Tsing Hui told me that he will definitely rush over during this period of time. Everyone, don't worry. Moreover, I have already left a message for Tsing Hui in the Chaos Divine Hall. If he sees this message, he will immediately reply to us. The reason why he is delayed is probably because he has something to deal with. Although Nailin Fei was a little worried in her heart, she maintained a calm expression on the surface. Something to deal with? Didn't he follow Lord Cruel Sword to the infinite wasteland world? There shouldn't be any delays along the way. Genesis Heavenly Sovereign was puzzled. Qing Su is going to Heaven's Wasteland with Sir Cruel Sword, so he'll definitely ask Sir Cruel Sword many questions along the way. Perhaps he just happens to have comprehended something, so he's currently in seclusion. Under these circumstances, it's reasonable for him to be delayed for half a month. Nailin Fei said, "Sigh. Although we understand that the Wuji Sword Sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, the Qiankuan Sacred Land, the Shunshao Sword Sect, the Pharaoh Sect, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, and the other forces have obviously become arrogant because they think that the Qing Su Grand Elder can't return after leaving the Eastern Wilderness. They're even openly working together to harm the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and Qinglan Peak. Once they come up with a plan to divide Qinglan Peak, they'll immediately invade Qinglan Peak's territory. By then, Ancestor Qi Wu glanced at the spirit guards outside the palace that had yet to dissipate. Why don't we take advantage of the fact that they have not formed an alliance and destroy 1 or 2 sects first? With the forces left behind by Grand Elder Tsing Hui, we should be able to do it. This. Nailin Fei hesitated for a moment and finally said, "Let's wait for Tsing Hui. We'll wait for another 5 days. If Tsing Hui still doesn't appear in 5 days, We'll mobilize the spirit power and destroy one of the forces as an example to others. I'm afraid that by then, they will have already killed their way to our door. Ancestor Chi Wu said. They won't have the chance to do so. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from outside the palace. Immediately after, they saw Tsing Hui striding into the palace. Upon seeing Tsing Hui, the originally uneasy Hunyuan saint, Ancestor Chi Wu, Ancestor Nanshun, and the others suddenly seemed to have found their backbone. They could not help but be pleasantly surprised. Grand Elder Tsing Hui, you're finally here. Great, Grand Elder Tsing Hui has arrived. With Grand Elder Tsing Hui here, the Wuji Sword Sect, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Qingquan Sacred Land, and the Shenshao Sword Sect are like clowns. They will soon be suppressed by Grand Elder Tsing Hui one by one. We're relieved to see Grand Elder Tsing Hui here. Tsing Hui's gaze swept across Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Chi Wu, Ancestor Nanshun, and the others. Since the Shenshao Sword Sect, the Qingquan Sacred Land, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Faluo Sect, and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range's higher-ups are all gathered in the Wuji Sword Sect, we might as well solve this problem once and for all. Otherwise, with the Wuji Sword Sect, the Qingquan Sacred Land, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect may have a certain advantage, but that advantage is not obvious. Once they join forces, the alliance of the three sects will be at a disadvantage. Tsing Hui's words immediately made Hunyuan Saint and the others nod repeatedly. Yes. Grand Elder Tsing Hui is right. We should ruthlessly suppress the arrogance of these sections. Grand Elder Tsing Hui, shall we mobilize the experts in the sects? Tsing Hui nodded. The Wuji Sword Sect is unrepentant and should be executed. However, seeing that they are subordinate to Sword Shadow like our Hunyuan Heaven Sect, I will kill their 4 transformative stage and never-ending stage ancestors as punishment. As for the Shenshao Sword Sect, they colluded with the UNG Sect in an attempt to kill me, so there's no need for them to exist. The remaining 6 Paths of God and Demons, the Qingquan Sacred Land, the Faluo Sect, and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range must hand over their Dao vessel items and their chaos arts to make up for their mistakes. If they are unwilling, they will be wiped out like the Shenshao Sword Sect. We will follow Grand Elder Tsing Hui's arrangements. Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Nanshun, Ancestor Chi Wu, and the others naturally did not object. Then follow me. As Tsing Hui spoke, he walked out of the Qinglan Palace. Outside the Qinglan Palace, the dozens of true energy and vision saint stage spirits that had been awakened during the attack on the Creation Mystical Gate had already received Tsing Hui's orders and gathered in the plaza. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Tsing Hui waved his hand and stored the spirits into his personal space. This is... The Primordial Chaos Saint could not help but shudder slightly when he saw this. Great Elder of Qing Sui, your personal space can actually contain living things? Could it be? Of course. My personal space has not reached the 10th level, so how can it hold living creatures? Tsing Hui replied with a faint smile. Gasp. Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Nanshun, Ancestor Chi Wu, and the others could not help but gasp at the same time. The Green Ruins characteristics were already at the 10th level of recovery and the 3rd level of the divine technique. Coupled with his personal space at the 10th level, didn't that mean he was at the 23rd level at the very least? A 23rd level son of chaos. It was inconceivable just thinking about it. However, the 20th level of Chaos Chi usually represented the best in the Golden Core realm and ordinary almighty figures. Although Tsing Hui was not in the Golden Core realm, he had the battle record of killing Golden Core realm powerhouses. In addition, he had Tianxiong behind him, so it was not a big deal to reveal his 23rd level of Chaos Chi. Even if someone was jealous and wanted to capture and kill him, they had to consider the consequences of offending Tianxiong. Chapter 462. Wuji Sword Sect. Even though old Ancestor Stone Sword, Lifeless Sword Master, and the others had been stripped of their chaotic realm and lost their divine arts, as the difference between true energy realm, transformative realm, and never-ending realm was not obvious, the two of them still had a high position in the hearts of the people from Shenshao Sword Sect, Six Paths of Gods and Demons, and Qiankuan Sacred Land. Below him was the sect master of the Shenshao Sword Sect, Li Shenshao, and the four true element stage ancestors who had come to help. Below them were the 6 Tao Devil King and 6 Tao God King of the 6 Tao of Devils and Divines. Amongst these 12 people, there were 2 experts at the Transcendent Realm, 8 at the True Energy Realm, and the remaining 2 at the Prominent Saint Realm. However, due to their special identities, they had the qualifications to be present. The weakest one was the Qiankuan Sacred Grounds, Qiankuan Sacred Grounds, Qiankuan Sacred Grounds, Qiankuan Sacred Ground. Although he was ranked 7th on the Eastern Baron ranking, he was alone. Therefore, he was weaker than the 6 Paths of God and Demon. As for the Pharaoh sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain range, although they were also part of the 10 great sacred sects, their status was a level lower. Each sect only had 2 or 3 true element boundary experts, and each of them only sent 1 or 2 representatives. The other reinforcements were mostly prominent divine boundary experts. Everyone, the frigid ice pool has been the territory of the 6 paths of celestial and demon since ancient times. However, it was forcefully taken over by the creation mysterious sect 300 years ago. It is only right that the frigid ice pool return to the 6 paths of celestial and demon. Azura Demon Master, you've said it yourself. The Frost Ice Pool is already occupied by the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect, and the Create Evolve Mysterious Sect was defeated by the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Now, the true owner of the Frost Ice Pool belongs to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, and not your 6 paths of God and demons. Based on the current geographical location, the Frost Ice Pool is clearly closer to our Qiankuan Holy Land. If we really want to redistribute this resource point, the Frost Ice Pool should belong to our Qiankuan Holy Land. Nonsense. According to what you said, isn't the Heavenly Wood Forest the closest to the Giant Dragon Mountain range? But in reality, the Skywood Forest was forcibly taken away by your Qiankuan Holy Land in the name of originally belonging to you. If you really want to calculate it like that, you'll have to return the Skywood Forest to the Giant Dragon Mountain range first. Azura Demon Master said sternly. The Skywood Forest is different from other places. Tang Sun is not only is he a true element boundary expert, but he also has 2 prominent divine boundary grand elders. And Tang Sun is so powerful that the Giant Dragon Mountain ranges forces has had. And demons, Demon Lord, they're, of course, they're. Demon Azura Demon Sect, they're Demon Lord Demon Range, Sect, and Sect Lord Azura Sect, Sect, of the of God of sect, of Azura Demon Lord, Demon, Demon Ice. The Skywood Forest is on the other side of your Qiankuan Holy Land. If we want to go to the Skywood Forest, we have to go through your Qiankuan Holy Land. We have to take a big detour. Is your Qiankuan Holy Land trying to disgust us? Enough. Seeing the Qiankuan Sacred Land and the 6 Paths of God and Demon sects' endless argument, Shenshao Sword Sect's sect master Li Shenshao had no choice but to step forward and say, everyone, whether it's the Skywood Forest or the Ice Pool, we haven't conquered them yet. If you want to divide the resources, it won't be too late to divide them after conquering them. You should know that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect is no weakling. Hunyuan Heaven Sect? The Hell Demon Master behind Azura Demon Master sneered. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect has already angered everyone because of Cho Tsing Hui's matter. When Cho Tsing Hui was still alive, we naturally had to give him face because of his reputation as the strongest person in the Eastern Wasteland. But now, Cho Tsing Hui has gone to Heaven Wasteland with his senior brother, Qin Jian. Now that he has left, the chances of him returning are extremely slim. Without such a great god suppressing them, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect can't even protect themselves. How would they have the guts to resist the 6 Paths of God and Demon? That's right. Let alone the fact that Cho Tsing Hui has already left the Eastern Wasteland, even if he was still here, our 6 great sects aren't to be trifled with. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect occupies so much territory. Aren't they afraid that all of us will attack them? If they obediently hand over the resource points that belong to us, we can still turn a blind eye to them. But if they dare to try to rule the eastern wasteland like the Create Evolve mysterious sect, why can't our 6 great sects join forces to wipe them out? God Lord Human Emperor is right. Our 6 great sects have already formed an alliance. Without Chou Tsing-hui, the Hunyuan Heaven sect is nothing to be afraid of. We just need to make them obediently hand over the Create Evolve mysterious sect's territory. What nonsense would they dare to say? The crowd discussed fervently. They didn't care much about the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Jinwu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword sect. Compared to the alliance of the 3 great sects, the alliance of the Limitless Sword sect, the Shenshao Sword sect, the 6 Paths of the God and Devil, the Qinkuan Sacred Land, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, and the Pharaoh sect was more than twice as strong. Even if many people no longer had the Primal Chaos stage and lost their greatest weapon, the combined strength of the 6 great sects still surpassed the alliance of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Jinwu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword sect. While everyone was discussing, a Vision Saint Stage Grand Elder suddenly barged in and said to the Lifeless Sword Master and Ancestor Stone Sword in a panic, Ancestor, not good. We just received news that the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder Chou Tsing-hui has suddenly appeared in the Wondrous Mountain Range. He has already brought the experts of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Jinwu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword sect, as well as the many monsters that originally occupied the Wondrous Mountain Range. They are extremely fast and will likely kill their way into our Limitless Sword sect's territory by tomorrow. The prominent Sage Stage Grand Elder hurriedly reported, causing the many True Element Boundary and prominent Sage Stage experts who were arguing over the benefits of the Creation Transformation Profound sect to be stunned on the spot. After a while, an uproar broke out in the crowd. Chou Tsing-hui? Are you sure? It's Chou Tsing-hui? Didn't he already go to the Heaven Wasteland world? How could he appear in the Wondrous Mountain Range? Impossible. How could Chou Tsing-hui still be in the Eastern Wasteland? If he's really in the Eastern Wasteland, why didn't he appear a few days ago when our sects didn't hand over the Dao treasures as promised? Your Elder Yu Quan? You're already more than 300 years old. Could it be that you saw wrongly when you received the news? The one leading the troops isn't Chou Tsing-hui, but the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Primordial Chaos Sacred Venerable? The cultivators from the various sects could not help but ask one after another. Their faces were filled with fear and unease. Even the Lifeless Sword Master, Ancestor Stone Sword, and the others from the Wuji Sword sect immediately darkened. However, there was no need for Elder Yu Quan to reply. Soon, the cultivators representing the Shenshao Sword sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, and the Qinkuan Sacred Land quickly ran into the hall. Their faces were filled with panic. Sect Master, not good. Chou Tsing-hui is leading his troops to kill us. Demon Master, things are not good. Sect Master, the situation has changed. Chou Tsing-hui has returned to the Wondrous Mountain Range and has already gathered his troops. They're heading straight for us. 1 or 2 of them might have received the wrong information, or their eyes might be blurred due to old age, but the spies sent by all the sects present simultaneously sent similar news. How could this news be false? For a moment, the experts from the 6 sacred sects could not help but be stunned. Uncontrollable fear appeared on their faces, and they did not know what to do at that moment. How could this be? How could this be? Chou Tsing-hui actually didn't leave the Eastern Wilderness? He didn't leave with his senior brother, Qin Jian? Damn it! I knew there was a conspiracy. Hundreds of Taoist rhymes. Our sects combined hundreds of Taoist rhymes. How could Chou Tsing-hui be willing to give up and leave with his senior brother, Qin Jian? Hundreds of Taoist rhymes don't come from the wind. Even an almighty would be willing to kill for hundreds of Taoist rhymes, let alone a transcendent cultivator like Chou Tsing-hui. Luring the snake out of its hole. Luring the snake out of its hole. This is Chou Tsing-hui's plan to lure the snake out of its hole. His goal is to see how many people will choose to go against him after he leaves the Eastern Wilderness. Now, all of us have fallen into his trap and jumped out at the same time. Patriarch Stone Sword's expression was very ugly at the same time, but he still tried his best to maintain order. Don't panic, don't panic. There are so many of us here. Cho Tsing-hui may not be able to do anything to us. Can't do anything to him? Back then, Zhuo Qingshu single-handedly suppressed the entire Wuji sword sect. Now, not only did he bring the experts of the three major sects, but he also brought the demons who had previously attacked the Creation Mystical Gate. Compared to the last time, the lineup was more than twice as strong. This force can even destroy the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. Our 6 sects combined are at most on par with the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. How can we resist Cho Tsing-hui? The Giant Dragon Mountain Range is just a small sect, so we can't fight with you. This time, I've gathered 120 Taoist rhymes, and I'll go to Grand Elder Tsing-hui to ask for forgiveness. With the extra 20 Taoist rhymes, I hope Grand Elder Tsing-hui can spare the Giant Dragon Mountain Range. Fortunately, an elder of the Pharaoh sect is waiting outside the Wonder Mountain Range. His plan is to immediately appear once he finds out that Tsing-hui is about to attack the other sections. He will offer the Taoist rhymes that he has prepared long ago and beg for Grand Elder Tsing-hui's forgiveness. I hope it's not too late. Hearing that Tsing-hui had arrived, everyone panicked. They didn't even care about staying in the Wuji sword sect anymore. They all stood up as if this was a dragon's den. The representatives of the Giant Dragon Mountain Range and the Pharaoh sect, who were the weakest of the 4 sects, trembled and left the Wuji sword sect's main hall immediately. They had seen the so-called resource allocation just now. The 4 sects were like beggars, giving them some benefits symbolically. Why would the Pharaoh sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range put their sects in danger for such a small benefit? Going against Tsing-hui, who could destroy the Create Evolve Mysterious sect. This matter should be left to the Wuji sword sect, Qiankuan Sacred Ground, Shenshao sword sect, and the 6 paths of Celestial and Demon. The Pharaoh sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, who had few experts or were more restrictive, didn't plan to play along with the 4 sections. Damn it! Seeing the representatives of the Pharaoh sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range leave quickly, the Shenshao sword sect's sect leader, Li Shenxiao's expression became extremely ugly. Ancestor Stone Sword, Lifeless Sword Master, Demon Masters, Godly Kings, and Qingkuan's Sacred Leader, the 4 sects can't give in so easily. Otherwise, we won't have any chance to stand out in the Eastern Wilderness in the future. Hearing Li Shenxiao's words, the Azura Demon Master, Qiankuan's Sacred Leader, and the others, who had been fighting over the Create Evolve Mysterious sect, looked at each other and didn't say anything. Everything they had discussed before was built on the premise that Tsing-hui had already left the Eastern Wilderness. But now, Tsing-hui had actually returned. Thinking about how Tsing-hui had destroyed the Create Evolve Mysterious sect and suppressed the Wuji sword sect, the true energy realm experts of the 2 sects couldn't help but shudder. Seeing that the Qiankuan Sacred Leader, Azura Demon Master, and the others had stopped talking, Li Shenxiao's face was filled with shock and anger. You can't be thinking of giving in to Cho Tsing-hui, right? Zhuo Qingshu asked me to deliver 100 Taoist rhymes to the Wondrous Mountain Range in half a month. None of us from the major sects managed to do that. We've already committed a crime by failing to do so. Do you think Zhuo Qingshu will let you off so easily? If we don't resist, he'll definitely kill us all. He'll kill the Shenshao sword sect, right? The Shenshao sword sect teamed up with the UNG sect's young sect master and almost killed Grand Elder Tsing-hui. Of course, Grand Elder Tsing-hui won't let the Shenshao sword sect go, but as for us, he might not anger everyone and kill us all. After all, if he really doesn't give us a way out, we can ask the powerful figures behind us to send down their main battle incarnations. We might be able to do something to him. The Qingkuan Sacred Leader said coldly. Let me try to contact the almighty figures of our Sword Shadow sect. If I can get the almighty figures of our Sword Shadow sect to send down their main battle incarnations, our sects might still have a chance to survive this calamity. If not, we can only resign ourselves to fate. If the powerful figures want to attack, they'll have to send down a Golden Core incarnation. An Endless Realm incarnation might be able to defeat him, but it won't be able to kill him. He only needs to wait for a while, and that powerful figure won't be able to hold on any longer. Once that powerful figure's main battle incarnation leaves, our situation will become even more difficult. Even that golden core incarnation might not be able to kill Tsinghui. After all, he's the disciple of the Heavenly Torch Exalted Master. How could he not have any life-saving treasures on him? The fact that the Black Heaven Taoist master that the Creation Mystical Sect asked to kill him and didn't kill him is the best proof. Let's look at the price of that powerful figure's main battle incarnation. It's too high. We can only choose to submit. All we can do now is to do our best and leave it to fate. Those who can send down their golden core incarnations are all top powerful figures. With the current situation on Infinite Wasteland, no top powerful figure would be willing to take the risk without a special reason. We're really done for this time. For a moment, the faces of the true energy realm experts were filled with pessimism. Chapter 463. Grand Elder Tsinghui, please wait. Qing Su's group naturally did not move too quickly. When they left the territory of the Creation Mystical Sect and had yet to enter the territory of the Wuji Sword Sect, two people had already caught up to them from afar. They were panting heavily. It's Dragon Mountain Range's Divine Dragon Emissary and Dharma King Tai, and of Dharma Sect. Primordial Chaos Holy Venerable said softly behind Qing Su. Tsinghui nodded and looked at the Divine Dragon Emissary and Dharma King Tai. We finally caught up to Grand Elder Tsinghui, the Divine Dragon Emissary said with great respect. After half a month, all the great elders of the giant Dragon Mountain Range have been trying their best to collect the 100 resources. After half a month, we've finally collected all the 100 resources. However, some of the elders of the giant Dragon Mountain Range were in seclusion, so they received our message a little late. When we were about to deliver the 100 resources to the Great Elder, they suddenly replied that they still had a few more on them. Considering that the Great Elder seemed to place great importance on these resources, we could only return and collect them. Although we've obtained 16 more, the trip took us quite a few days. Currently, all 116 of them are here, so please kindly accept them, Great Elder. Due to the mistake of not being able to deliver the resources to the Great Elder in time, I beg for the Great Elder's punishment. After that, the Divine Dragon Emissary bowed deeply to Tsinghui. The Great Peace Dharma King of the Pharaoh Sect also agreed. Our Pharaoh Sect's situation is similar to the Dragon Mountain Range. It's also because of this that we've been delayed a little. The main reason is that the half a month that the Great Elder of Qing Su gave us is too rushed. If the Great Elder of Qing Su could extend the time by another 1 or 2 months, it wouldn't be difficult to collect another 10 or so treasures. Currently, our Pharaoh Sect has a total of 121 treasures that contain the presence of Tao. Qing Su looked at the envoys of the Faluo Sect and the Dragon Mountains. He could not help but be slightly surprised. In terms of overall strength, the Pharaoh Sect was about the same as the Green Lotus Sword Sect. It was estimated that the sect only had around 10 prominent Saint Stage experts and 2 or 3 true element boundary experts. The giant Dragon Mountain Range was slightly better than the Pharaoh Sect, with around 12 to 13 prominent Saint Stage experts and 2 or 3 true element boundary experts. However, their sect had tamed many powerful Saint Stage spirit beasts. Of course, this level was nothing to Tsinghui. They were at the level where he could destroy them with a flip of his hand. Because of this, the two sects didn't have any confidence in front of Tsinghui. As soon as they heard that Tsinghui had returned to the Eastern Barren Territory, they immediately offered him many Tao rhymes. They were even more than what Tsinghui had said. Please forgive us, Grand Elder Tsinghui. The Divine Dragon Emissary and Dharma King Tai, and saw that Tsinghui didn't say anything. They were very nervous and bowed deeply. Very good. After a long while, Tsinghui smiled. The Pharaoh Sect and Dragon Mountain Range are very thoughtful. Since you didn't hand over 100 Tao rhymes at the agreed time because you wanted to collect more Tao rhymes, I'll forgive you. The Divine Dragon Emissary and Dharma King Tai, and were delighted to hear Tsinghui relax. Thank you, Grand Elder Tsinghui. Thank you, Grand Elder Tsinghui. Elder, here are the Tao rhymes we collected. And the Pharaoh Sect. The two hurried forward and handed over the Tao rhymes to Tsing Hui from their personal spaces. Qing Su glanced past the two of them. Originally, he planned on forcing the various scions of chaos from the Dharma sect and Dragon Mountains to hand over their cultivation methods. There were not a lot of scions of chaos at the 10th rank in these two sects, but there were still 3 or 4 of them. Coupled with the level of the other scions of chaos, it would not be difficult for these cultivation methods to be sold for over 200 rhymes of Daos. However, the cultivators of the two sects had a good attitude. Coupled with the fact that the scions of chaos above the 10th step would basically join a few powerful organizations of chaos, those organizations of chaos were only slightly weaker than Celestial Vault, Sword Shadow, Grand Exalt, Heavenly Tao, Divine Wilderness, and other peak organizations of chaos. Just to avoid drawing the displeasure of those organizations of chaos and causing trouble for Celestial Vault, Qing Su suppressed the idea in the end. However, Tsing Hui didn't plan to let go of the Qingkuan Sacred Land, Shunshao Sword Sect, Six Paths of God and Demons, and Wuji Sword Sect. In particular, the Shunshao Sword Sect's ancestor, Li Hechuan, had colluded with the UNG Sect's junior sect master to kill him. Even the chaos organizations behind the Shunshao Sword Sect wouldn't dare to say anything if he destroyed the Shunshao Sword Sect. After all, he was backed by Sky Dome, one of the top 10 chaos organizations. In a situation where he had sufficient reason, the chaos organizations behind the Shunshao Sword Sect would have to carefully consider whether they would offend Sky Dome even if they wanted to interfere. Tsing Hui nodded slightly after sensing the notification from the Chaos Divine Palace. I understand your intentions. Don't worry, as long as the Dragon Mountain Range and Pharaoh Sect don't know their place, Qinglan Peak won't offend them. The Divine Dragon Emissary and Discipline King Tai, and breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Grand Elder Tsing Hui. Rest assured, Grand Elder Tsing Hui. The Pharaoh Sect will abide by our sect's rules from now on and won't dare offend Qinglan Peak or Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Tsing Hui nodded and was about to leave with Primordial Chaos Sacred Sovereign and the others. However, when the Divine Dragon Envoy and Protector King Tai and saw Qing Su's group about to leave, they looked at each other and said at the same time, Great Elder Qing Su, are you planning to go to the Wuji Sword Sect? I wonder if our two sects have the honor of following Grand Elder Tsing Hui? Follow me if you want to, but don't cause trouble for us. Tsing Hui said. Rest assured, Grand Elder Tsing Hui. We won't interfere with Grand Elder Tsing Hui's plans. In fact, if Grand Elder Tsing Hui needs anything from the Pharaoh Sect and the Dragon Mountain Range, our two sects won't refuse. The two hurriedly said. It wasn't hard to tell from their tone that the two sects were planning to completely submit to Tsing Hui in exchange for the stable development of their sects in the future. You two sects are considerate, but the Wuji Sword Sect doesn't need the help of the Dragon Mountain Range and Pharaoh Sect. Just follow me. Tsing Hui naturally understood what the two meant. Since the two sects were so tactful, he naturally didn't mind setting an example. After all, it wasn't necessary to kill everyone in the Eastern Wilderness to rule over it. If all the experts in the Eastern Wilderness died, there wouldn't be enough power to deter others. Not only would the Eastern Wilderness become troublesome in the future, but there would also be other chaos organizations and experts from other continents who would target the Eastern Wilderness. That would be the real problem. The group of people quickly stepped into the Wuji Sword Sect's territory. However, before Tsing Hui and the rest truly arrived at the Wuji Sword Sect's Mountain Gate, Ancestor Stone Sword and the rest had already led the experts from the Qingkuan Sacred Land and the Six Paths of Gods and Demons to welcome them. When they met Tsing Hui, they hurriedly bowed. Greetings, Grand Elder Tsing Hui. Tsing Hui glanced at Ancestor Stone Sword, Qingkuan Sacred Master, Azura Demon Master, and the rest. He said coldly, Where are you guys going? Ancestor Stone Sword hurriedly said, We're going to deliver the Tao-carrying item to Grand Elder Tsing Hui. As he spoke, he thought of the almighty Jian Ying's price and couldn't help but twitch his mouth. 200 Taoist rhymes. 200 Taoist rhymes for a Golden Core Realm main battle avatar. In the past, 100 Taoist rhymes would be enough. However, the situation on Infinite Wasteland was turbulent now. He would be weak for at least 1 or 2 years if he sent his Golden Core Realm main battle avatar. If he was targeted by an enemy during this time, his life would be in danger. Moreover, killing Tsing Hui was equivalent to offending one of the top 10 experts of Infinite Wasteland, esteemed Zhu Zhao. However, 200 Taoist rhymes. Who could guarantee that Tsing Hui didn't have a life-saving item given to him by esteemed Zhu Zhao? Once the life-saving item on Tsing Hui took effect, the Golden Core Realm avatar wouldn't die after killing Tsing Hui this time. What about the next time? How would they have so many resources to hire someone else to help them the next time? Under such circumstances, the only choice they had was to submit to Tsing Hui. Great Elder Tsing Hui, these are the Taoist items that we have prepared. Please accept them, Great Elder Tsing Hui. The Qinkuan Sacred Ground has also prepared the Taoist items. These are the offerings of the 6 paths of God and Demon. Please accept them, Great Elder Tsing Hui. The higher-ups of the 3 forces stepped forward one by one and presented the Taoist items that they had prepared beforehand. Qing Su glanced at the upper echelon of the 3 sections. Without any explanation, he directly stowed the 300 items into his personal space. Seeing this, the higher-ups of the 3 forces secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Just as they were about to relax, Tsing Hui's next words made them nervous again. The 100 Taoist rhymes have indeed been delivered, but you delayed the delivery by a few days. What is the meaning of this? Do you want me to personally come to your mountain gate and interrogate you before you are willing to hand over the Taoist items? Or was I too gentle the last time I visited your mountain gate, so you naively thought that you could get away with it? We're innocent. Great Elder Tsing Hui, how would we dare to trouble you again? It's really too difficult to collect the Taoist items with 100 Taoist rhymes. We had no choice but to spend a few more days. After collecting these Taoist items, we plan to send them to Great Elder Tsing Hui as soon as possible. Ancestor Stone Sword hurriedly said. Tsing Hui waved his hand and interrupted him. How could I not know what you're really thinking? You've thought of all the methods, but unfortunately, you can't implement them. It's because of this that you're obediently handing over the Taoist items in your hands? At this point, his expression turned cold. If you make a mistake, you should pay the price. Do you agree with this? Chapter 464. You should pay the price for making a mistake. Do you all agree? Tsing Hui's tone was forceful and oppressive. Qinkuan Saint Master's expression changed slightly. Great Elder Tsing Hui, you said that you would let bygones be bygones as long as we hand over 100 Tao Aura items. Now that you've accepted our items, how can you go back on your word? That's right. Ancestor Stonesword's expression darkened and he said unyieldingly, Great Elder Tsing Hui's way of going back on your word is too much. Even if this matter is made known to the chaos organizations behind us, I'm afraid they won't be able to tolerate Great Elder Tsing Hui's aggression towards us again and again. I've said that I would let bygones be bygones if you handed in the Vessel of the Path within half a month. However, not only have you not handed in the Vessel of the Path, but you've also joined forces to discuss the division of the resources in the territory of Qinglan Peak. Do you think I don't know about this? If you really make this matter known to the chaos organizations behind you and let them know, then I'm in the right. If they still insist on sending down their main battle avatars to intervene, then Tianxiong will definitely not stand by and watch. Tsing Hui's words made Ancestor Stonesword's expression turn bitter. Tianxiong. Tsing Hui was backed by Tianxiong. Moreover, he was the supreme expert in Tianxiong, who was ranked in the top 10 in the Divine Realm. This guess was completely confirmed when Remnant Sword personally came to greet Tsing Hui. Compared to Tsing Hui's influence in Tianxiong, what was the Wuji Sword sect in Shadow Sword? If they dared to invite the almighty experts of Shadow Sword to deal with Tsing Hui while he was in the right, Sky Vault, who was ranked in the top 10 of the Divine Realm, would definitely not stand by and watch. Now, they had used up all the items that could carry the way that could invite Jian Ying's almighty figure to come forward. There was no other way. They were truly at the mercy of others. For a moment, Ancestor Stone Sword had no choice but to put away the unrealistic idea of destroying everything in his heart. He said in a low voice, May I know what Supreme Elder Tsing Hui wants before you're willing to let us go? If you knew this day would come, why did you do it in the first place? Tsing Hui said, and then said bluntly, according to my understanding, there are a total of 19 Sons of Chaos in the Wuji Sword sect. Among them, only a few of you are Sons of Chaos above level 10. Among the remaining Sons of Chaos, there are 6 who are level 5 and above. I need the chaos techniques of these 6 people. Take away all the chaos incantations of tier 5 and above. When Ancestor Stone Sword heard this, the aged look on his face became even more pronounced. This was completely cutting off the Wuji Sword sect's development in the direction of the Chaos Temple. As for the Qiankuan Holy Land and the 6 Paths of God and Demon, the result is the same. Hand over all the chaos techniques of chaos above level 5 in your sect, and I'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, I'll take them myself. The Qiankuan Holy Master, Azura Demon Master, and the others were shocked. Although they knew that Tsing Hui would not let them off easily, they did not expect him to be so ruthless. Not leaving a single Son of Chaos above level 5 alive? Great Elder Qing Su, isn't your request a little too? The Azura Demon Master was about to say something when Tsing Hui waved his hand. Immediately, the demons that had attacked the creation mysterious gate that had not completely dissipated were teleported out of space. In the blink of an eye, in addition to the many experts from the Jinwu religion, the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect, there were dozens of true energy realm demons in the void. The combined aura of several dozen true element boundary demons instantly stirred up the winds and clouds, causing the heavens and earth to change color. For a moment, the words that the Azura Demon Lord was about to say were all stuck in his throat, and he couldn't say a single word. It seems that the Azura Demon Master of the 6 Paths of God and Demon is somewhat dissatisfied with my request. Do you want to resist to the end? Tsing Hui's cold gaze landed on the Azura Demon Master. In an instant, the Azura Demon Master was so frightened that he broke out in cold sweat. However, the Hell Demon Lord on the side said in a hurry, "You've misunderstood, Great Elder Qing Su. We of the 6 Paths of the Divine and Demonic dare not complain about the Great Elder's request at all, nor do we have any thoughts of resisting. We'll go to the sect right now and make some preparations. We'll collect all the chaotic techniques of Class 5 and above for the Great Elder." The Heaven and Earth Saint Master glanced at the dozens of true energy realm demons behind Tsing Hui. He knew very well that if he dared to say a single word of objection, Tsing Hui would definitely order these demons, who were only 1 level away from true energy realm experts, to rush forward and tear them to pieces. He could only lower his head in submission. Supreme Elder Tsing Hui is right. We have made a mistake, so we should accept the punishment. For Supreme Elder Tsing Hui to be willing to give us a way out, the entire Heaven and Earth Saint Master is extremely grateful. The Heaven and Earth Saint Master has no objections to Supreme Elder Tsing Hui's request. Then what are you waiting for? I remember that the Heaven and Earth Saint Master has 3 level 10 Sons of Chaos. Among them, the Heaven and Earth Saint Master's Chaos level is the highest? Yes. Under Tsing Hui's aggressive gaze, the Heaven and Earth Saint Master had no choice but to take out his Chaos Cultivation Art and pass it to Tsing Hui. Tsing Hui carefully sensed the Chaos Cultivation Art and confirmed that there was no mistake. When the Azura Demon Master, Purgatory Demon Master, and the others saw this, they didn't dare resist and handed over their Chaos Cultivation Arts. Supreme Elder Tsing Hui needs some time to collect all Chaos Cultivation Arts above level 5, Ancestor Stone Sword said with a frown. Of course, I'm not an unreasonable person. I can give you another 10 days. In 10 days, all Chaos Cultivation Arts above level 5 have to be delivered. Of course, you can choose to continue testing my limits, but by then I won't be so easy to talk to. Don't worry, Supreme Elder Tsing Hui. We'll definitely bring all Sons of Chaos above level 5 to the Wondrous Mountain Range within 10 days and hand over the Chaos Cultivation Arts with both hands. The Heaven and Earth Saint Master won't make the same mistake twice. We're already extremely grateful that Supreme Elder Tsing Hui is willing to give the 6 Paths of Gods and Demons a way out. We wouldn't dare to have any other thoughts. The upper echelons of the Wuji Sword Sect, Six Paths of Gods and Demons, and Heaven and Earth Saint Master quickly responded. Then that's that. Tsing Hui said. The Six Paths of Gods and Demons and the Heaven and Earth Saint Master had lost their chaos cultivation arts. Without the powerful killing weapon of the divine arts, their threat to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Jin Wu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect would drop by a level. Even if he wasn't in the Eastern Wilderness, the Wuji Sword Sect, the Six Paths of Gods and Demons, the Heaven and Earth Saint Master, the Dharma Sect, and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range wouldn't be able to do anything to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Jin Wu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect. Moreover, Tsing Hui glanced at the envoys from the Dharma Sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range. He didn't know if these two sects would still dare to ally with the Wuji Sword Sect. Now, head straight to the Shenshao Sword Sect. The Shenshao Sword Sect's Supreme Elder Li Hechuan dared to collude with the UNG sect to kill me. It's time for them to pay the price. With that, Tsing Hui led Primordial Chaos Saint and the others in the direction of the Shenshao Sword Sect. The Heaven and Earth Saint Master, Ancestor Stone Sword, the Azura Demon Master, and so on felt bitter and relieved at the same time when they saw the group of people from Qingsu who seemed to have no intention of letting the Divine Shao Sword Sect live. The Shenshao Sword Sect, it was over. If they hadn't admitted their mistakes in time and corrected their attitude, they probably would have ended up like the Creation Mystical Sect and the Shenshao Sword Sect. From today onwards, the Eastern Wilderness would probably enter Cho Tsing Hui's era for a very long time. Tsing Hui, Primordial Chaos Saint, and the others aggressively headed toward the Shenshao Sword Sect. It was clear that they were determined to destroy the Shenshao Sword Sect. However, just as Tsing Hui, Primordial Chaos Saint, and the others arrived at the Shenshao Sword Sect's territory, and before they could even reach the Shenshao Sword Sect's mountain gate, someone delivered a piece of news to Primordial Chaos Saint. Great Elder of the Qingsu Sword Sect, we've just received news that the various upper echelon of the Divine Heaven Sword Sect have taken over a dozen core geniuses of the sect. They directly boarded a powerful Class 8 warship and left the Eastern Wasteland. Primordial Chaos Saint said in a low voice. Tsing Hui's expression changed slightly. The Shenshao Sword Sect's people escaped? The Divine Heaven Sword Sect has a total of 6 true energy experts, and 2 of them have reached the transformative realm. They are Li Hechuan and Gu Feiyang. Li Hechuan is dead, so only Gu Feiyang remains in seclusion. The people of the Divine Heaven Sword Sect know that we will never let them go. So Gu Feiyang has emerged from seclusion and made the decision to evacuate the Eastern Wastelands with the core forces of the sect. This decision was carried out not long after you left the Profundity Mountains, Great Elder of the Qingsu Sword Sect. Or perhaps, half a month ago, the Great Elder of the Qingsu Sword Sect already had a plan before you died at the hands of the young master of the Primordial Sect. Where did they escape to? I don't know. Li Shenshao of the Shenshao Sword Sect is very decisive. He actually left behind one of the 5 true energy boundary experts and 6 prominent divine stage great elders in the sect as a decoy. These true energy boundary experts and great elders have never been on good terms with their branch, but now they've been reduced to chess pieces to deceive us. We only learned of this when the true energy boundary expert and the 6 prominent divine stage experts fled after learning the truth. Looking at the time, they've already been gone for 2 days. Primordial Chaos Saint said in a deep voice. It took Qingsu over a day to travel from the Profundity Mountains to the Wuji Sword Sect with the Saint Venerate of Origin and another day to travel from the Wuji Sword Sect to the Shenshao Sword Sect. It took 3 days in total. Such a long time was enough for the core members of the Shenshao Sword Sect to vanish. The Shenshao Sword Sect, Great Elder Tsing Hui, the Shenshao Sword Sect is in chaos right now. All the core members above the Vision Saint stage have either hidden or fled. What should we do next? The people from the Shenshao Sword Sect aren't idiots. They actually know how to flee. Tsing Hui heard that. Even though he was slightly displeased that he had not killed all the people from the Shenshao Sword Sect, Li Shenshao and the others had already fled the Eastern Wastelands on a battleship. They had been gone for 2 days already, so there was nothing he could do even if he chased after them. I'll leave the Shinshao Sword Sect to you, Primordial Chaos Saint. The territory of the Shinshao Sword Sect will be given to the Primordial Chaos Heaven Sect as well. I only have one request. I don't want to see anyone call themselves a disciple of the Shinshao Sword Sect from today onwards. Primordial Chaos Saint was overjoyed when he heard Tsing Hui's words. Don't worry, Great Elder Tsing Hui. I know what to do. From today onwards, the Shinshao Sword Sect will become history. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.